Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing, Lord's Shoe. Tsukumo Hatake nodded with a smile. I'm late due to unavoidable circumstances. Please don't take offense. Hyuga's Shoe responded politely in turn. Then he walked toward the upper seat accompanied by Miharu Uchiha, while the Jonin under his command took their respective seats in sequence. This military conference has been convened to discuss the direction of our campaign against Hidden Cloud's village. After everyone had settled into their seats, Tsukumo Hatake spoke slowly. I believe you all already understand the reasons why Hidden Cloud's village has yet to deploy its ninja force for reinforcements. I won't reiterate the specifics. What remains undecided is whether we shall continue advancing northward in conquest, expand our occupied territory by securing it further, or even moderately withdraw from certain areas to consolidate our forces. This decision, I wish to hear your opinions upon. After Tsukumo Hatake finished speaking, he gently closed his eyes, appearing ready to listen attentively. The expressions among the neutral Jonin seated within the tent turned uncertain as they exchanged glances, unsure how to proceed. Although every Hidden Leaf village Jonin was technically regarded as part of the village's elite, in practice they were seen merely as powerful tools for warfare or mission execution. Their value lay in utility, not consultation. No one truly cared about specific powers associated with voting rights within the Jonin ranks, nor did these Jonin themselves raise objections regarding their exclusion before. In fact, none had ever dared to make an independent judgment on matters of such consequence. Although each man nursed his own private thoughts, his own hidden calculations, the situation wasn't clear enough for any of them to voice an opinion. The Jonin exchanged furtive glances but outwardly maintained silence. Instantly, the tent fell into complete silence. The Jonin assembly held their breath, afraid of making even the slightest noise that might draw attention. It was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Although the ninja world doesn't have an idiom like the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, the principle is universal, especially among tested Jonin who understand the dangers of power struggles at the top. Therefore, one after another gritted their teeth and kept silent, pretending to be nothing more than wooden dolls. Besides, even for Jonin, when have they ever been free to voice opinions in such circumstances? Don't they worry about exposing their vulnerabilities? Therefore, rather than igniting discussion, Tsukumo Hatake's words caused the tent atmosphere to grow increasingly tense. How long can our stored ninja tools and supplies sustain combat operations? Seeing this situation, Hyuga's Shoe took the initiative to break the deadlock. According to standard allocation calculations, inventory and captured ninja tools can support each division's ninja force for about 25 days, while food supplies can last 3 months. As for medical supplies, we currently have enough for approximately 3,000 personnel. Toshimeki Yamanaka, who had recently resumed his position as logistics officer, immediately reported. Tsukumo Supreme Commander, it seems clear our ninja tools and medical supplies require timely replenishment from the village. Hyuga's Shoe nodded, then turned to Tsukumo Hatake. That said, overall, our current state of preparedness is still quite good. We are capable of supporting expanded military operations. I see. Tsukumo Hatake nodded but felt a bit regretful inwardly. To be honest, Tsukumo truly wished to hear different voices. Whether or not to continue the northern campaign didn't seem particularly important to him, since he wasn't actually a very aggressive person. Achievements and honors didn't really matter much to him. Nor was he someone obsessed with reputation. What he firmly believed in. His ninja way. Aligned closely with the core values of the Will of Fire, simplicity and equality. Moreover, Tsukumo always focused on issues rather than individuals in his conduct, never treating others differently because of their opinions. Yet, putting it bluntly, there were indeed people who failed to seize the opportunity even when given one. Thinking thus, Tsukumo couldn't help glancing repeatedly at the Hokage faction ninjas seated in the front row on his right. However, these supposed opposing voices remained completely silent during this critical moment. An attitude truly disappointing. Continuing the war would be unwise. Just as Tsukumo prepared to go along with the prevailing mood and announce the decision of the military council, Anbu leader Bull finally exploded with objection. Pushing further north will surely lead to a full-scale conflict with Hidden Cloud's village. This matter should await Lord Hokage's instruction before we proceed with careful planning. I never said to keep advancing north either. Hyuga's Shoe expressed obvious surprise. Huh? Anbu leader Bull suddenly faltered. He suddenly realized that he seemed to have fallen into Hyuga's Shu's verbal trap. Although Shu's words strongly implied intentions to assess logistical resources for a northern campaign against Hidden Cloud's village, he hadn't explicitly declared plans to continue marching northward against them. In fact, Sakamo had originally proposed only 3 options. By the way, you're not part of headquarters. As the Hokage's directly commanded units, the Anbu shouldn't be mouthing off at this military council meeting. After all, spouting off about things you don't understand might make people think the Hokage's units are total pushovers. Having taken a subtle jab at the Anbu, Hyuga Shu then continued calmly, "This is the Rabbit Tower goddess. If we miss this chance, we'll surely incur her wrath." Sakamo Hatake gave a slight nod. The Jonin in attendance caught on right away. Being able to read the room is basic for any Jonin. If you can't do that, forget about climbing ranks in Hidden Leaf Village. As for those ninja from the Hokage faction who had different opinions, they now breathed sighs of relief, thankful that either themselves or their representatives hadn't rashly believed rumors and spoken out recklessly. Otherwise, they'd probably find themselves getting kicked around again soon enough. Not paying attention to everyone's reactions, Hyuga Shu pressed on. "Moreover, with General Sakamo leading troops away from the village right now, if we waste this golden chance, what will the ninja supporting you think? And even the Hokage's orders can't override a frontline commander's judgment. I'll report everything directly to the Hokage." Captain Bull offered no argument, simply rising immediately and heading outside the tent. "That's more like it." Hyuga Shu felt even more satisfied. Whether he stormed off in anger or intended to secretly file a complaint later, Shu didn't care one bit. As long as they didn't meddle with his scheming, the Anbu ninjas could go wherever they pleased. However, Orochimaru and Jiraiya weren't entirely comfortable. Unlike Tsunade, who was currently hand-in-hand with Danpato acting like a lovesick girl, these 2 disciples of the Hokage were both ambitious men with aspirations. Furthermore, they technically commanded their own ninja forces now. Whether considering power legitimacy or factional stance, neither of them could allow the initiative in the upcoming war falling completely into the hands of Hyuga Shu and Sakamo Hatake. Otherwise, their fate wouldn't be much better than that of the 1st Reinforcement Ninja Force. Especially Hyuga Shu, who constantly pushed Sakamo Hatake toward northern campaigns. Was seen by Jiraiya as the very source of disruption to peace. Orochimaru and Jiraiya exchanged glances before Jiraiya stepped forward to speak. "Commander Shu, we still need careful reconnaissance regarding Hidden Cloud's village specifically. Would launching war so hastily be wise?" "What do you mean by hastily?" Hyuga Shu snorted coldly. "This is the goddess's perfect timing. If we just let it slip through our fingers, that truly would be the greatest betrayal to our village. We absolutely cannot launch a northern campaign without consulting our teacher first." Jiraiya argued heatedly with a red face. "Commander Shu, are you planning to become a rogue ninja? A loser defeated by that old geezer with his pipe. Who'd have thought you'd dare speak loudly up north after fleeing here?" Mahiru Uchiha couldn't resist going on a scathing tirade. "Do cowards like you really think just because you lost, everyone else has to lose too?" Mahiru-chan's words indeed cast a wide net of criticism. Not only did Jiraiya's expression darken, but even Orochimaru's face turned grim. Tsunade especially fixed this outspoken Uchiha girl with a stern gaze, her brows tightly furrowed. However, Jonin under Hyuga Shu's border forces and those closely tied to the clans largely agreed with Mahiru Uchiha's perspective. After all, once war erupts, gold comes pouring in. Whether in terms of personal strength or family heritage, clan ninja always held an edge over commoner ninja. Commoner ninjas often risked their lives and spilled blood for the village, driven by the will of fire. Meanwhile, clan ninjas saw battlefield glory as the key to fulfilling their life's purpose. Especially now that the coalition of ninja clans had broken through old limitations, giving skilled clan members an edge over their commoner peers. Although being just another ordinary jonin wasn't bad per se, becoming a true high-ranking figure in a Hidden Leaf village offered far broader horizons, providing benefits for countless Hidden Leaf village villagers was a pretty good option too. Therefore, incited by Hyuga Shu, some attending jonin began unconsciously viewing Jiraiya and others who suffered well-known defeats in the Land of Rain and were now making cowardly excuses to block the northern campaign against Hidden Cloud's village as obstacles standing in the way of their own interests. Just like how the ninja world was nothing but a ragtag bunch. A mere makeshift setup. Even ninja possessing extraordinary powers still followed the herd mentality. Moreover, what Hyuga Shu spoke about consisted entirely of information they themselves understood, which naturally enhanced its credibility. This was truly the art of speaking. Telling the truth without revealing the whole truth. Hyuga Shu wanted war because only through war could he harvest more kills, gain greater experience to level up, earn increased coins to improve equipment, and moreover, Utilize warfare to forge his subordinates. Whose hearts beat to different drums. Into unshakable loyalists hardened like steel, resistant to thunder and fire. So opposing war would just make no sense at all. Ninja from noble clans usually held higher expectations for themselves, firmly believing their abilities would shine amidst the brutal, blood-soaked trials of war, following the successful models of both Hyuga and Tsukumo Hatake, achieving personal elevation on battlefields soaked in heroism and iron will. Part of the reason was that they'd taken part in some major, glorious victories early on. An undeniable factor fueling their confidence and fighting spirit. Indeed, ninja who had never experienced the endless attritional battles of the Land of Rain inevitably harbored unrealistic fantasies about war, thinking they were the main characters in their own ninja stories. There was nothing particularly strange about that. Yet regardless of future developments, they genuinely believed Jiraiya's remarks amounted to cowardly excuse-making and baseless objections. Although none of the attending Jonin openly voiced opinions, the perceptive Orochimaru could still discern their inner thoughts merely from observing their expressions. What an idiot, Orochimaru inwardly cursed. He not only overestimated Jiraiya's emotional intelligence, but also underestimated Hyuga's skill in muddying the waters. Commander-in-Chief Tsukumo Hatake, what do you think? Orochimaru patted Jiraiya on the shoulder, signaling him to stop talking, and cleverly passed the issue over to Tsukumo Hatake. Advance northward for punitive expeditions, hold our ground for a decisive battle, or simply retreat and consolidate our forces? Tsukumo Hatake shook his head with a sigh, reiterating the options he had first proposed. The tent fell into an immediate deathly silence. Everyone grew quiet. Hyuga had already made himself clear earlier, so he certainly wouldn't speak out recklessly at this moment. In that case, Tsukumo paused briefly before slowly speaking under everyone's gaze. Then I ask all Jonin present to exercise their deliberative voting rights and make a choice. How can war be treated so lightly? Tsunade couldn't help but interject. In her opinion, wars at the hidden village level are serious matters requiring the utmost caution. How could they allow a group of Jonin who lacked systematic administrative training to make decisions? If every decision was handled this way, Hidden Leaf Village would surely become the epicenter of conflicts across the ninja world. Compared to the Hokage faction's mature and responsible approach focused on the big picture, ordinary Leaf Ninja actually preferred thrilling tales about defeating Hidden Cloud's village and overcoming Hidden Stone's village. If Tsukumo Hatake's idea of Jonin voting really took off as a trend, the village might find it difficult to maintain its long-term strategic vision from now on. Thinking along these lines, Tsunade's frown deepened further. She couldn't just sit by while watching her grandfather's legacy being misguided and potentially destroyed by uninformed Jonin. The will of fire must not be interpreted by unworthy hands. But saying anything at this point would be useless. Under Tsukumo Hatake's initiative, whether or not they supported advancing northward, most attending Jonin still quite liked this kind of voting method. Soon, the voting results came out, and the count went as expected. 97 votes in favor of a northern campaign against Hidden Cloud's village. Tsukumo Hatake announced solemnly, over 60% of Jonin support advancing northward for battle, 30% back expanding occupied territories, and less than 10% advocate retreating for defense. This is the will of the Jonin. Standing right beside him, Hyuga chimed in, opportunity knocks but once, failing to grasp it when heaven presents it means suffering the consequences. This is the moment to forge legacies and seize greatness. Chapter 146, The Collapse of Etiquette. If one simply compared the current strength of each unit under the Northern Border Ninja Force, it would definitely be insufficient to conquer Hidden Cloud's village's main headquarters. After all, even if Hidden Cloud's village had endured countless hardships and internal turmoil, its foundation as the second strongest among the 5 great hidden villages still stood firm before suffering any large-scale devastating attacks. Therefore, although most Jonin in the military council agreed to march northward and strike against Hidden Cloud's village, which had just barely recovered from the Eight Tails incident, Tsukumo Hatake mostly arranged troop deployments focused on capturing various prefectures across the Land of Lightning. Hyuga kindly offered a further explanation. We must dismantle the Land of Lightning's war potential before engaging in decisive battle with Hidden Cloud's village. Only then can we achieve victory at minimal cost during the upcoming final confrontation. Naturally, these were nothing more than superficial justifications. Hyuga's true objective was actually those scattered guardian ninjas directly serving the daimyo of the Land of Lightning, who had temporarily replaced Hidden Cloud's village ninja force's military presence throughout the country. Although the number and combat capability of the Land of Lightning's guardian ninjas couldn't compare to Fire Country's direct ninja forces due to limitations in national resources, even a small threat can become significant in large numbers. Shu didn't mind leading personally and clearing out these minnows firsthand. Once the Jonin military meeting reached a unanimous decision, Tsukumo Hatake first sent another request to the village for reinforcements. Meanwhile, At Hyuga's strong insistence, he was once again appointed as chief inspector, tasked with eliminating illegal ninja organizations such as the Guardian Ninjas in central prefectures of the Land of Lightning in preparation for the subsequent large-scale northern offensive. Sticking to his philosophy that quality outweighs quantity, Shu took only about 300 shinobi northward for this mission, leaving all the lower-ranked geinin from the border forces behind under the instructor corps for advanced training and routine duties. However, this time around, Mahiru Uchiha and his sole apprentice Mike Dewey accompanied him on the campaign. Departing from Hakone Prefecture, Shu's Hidden Leaf Village Northern Expedition Inspection Force swept through 4 prefectural cities in the Land of Lightning. After capturing each city, they systematically destroyed the city walls, dismantled the local guardian nobles' fortresses, looted their treasuries, and then opened the granaries, freely distributing food to the common people of the Land of Lightning. As a result, the perception of Hidden Leaf Village ninja as mere invaders was greatly diminished. Even after the withdrawal of the Hidden Leaf Village forces, faced with the increasingly brutal rule and heavy taxation imposed by the noble family's samurai-led military retinues, many ordinary people began longing for the comparatively better conditions they briefly experienced during the Hidden Leaf Village ninjas' occupation of the cities. However, for shinobi, public favor held absolutely no value. Shu's true aim was to strike fear into the aristocrats at the Lightning Daimyo's court, driving them to make rash and desperate decisions out of panic. For example, courtiers collectively submitted a petition urging the daimyo to deploy his own guardian ninja forces. Whose power was already vastly inferior to the inspection ninja forces. To fight back against Shu's invading army rampaging across the Land of Lightning. After all, each court noble in the daimyo's court had a powerful local clan backing them. Hyuga's campaigns across the prefectures were effectively digging out their roots, so it was only natural for the aristocrats to feel anxious and alarmed. But the daimyo of the Land of Lightning wasn't a fool. He wouldn't recklessly throw away his guardian ninjas so easily. Due to the historically strong relationship between the daimyo of the Land of Lightning and the Hidden Clouds Village Ninja Village, there had been no urgent need before Hidden Leaf Village's invasion for the daimyo to raise an independent ninja force. Instead, funds were mainly directed to the village to strengthen its power, thus raising the countries and ruling elites standing within the ninja world. To the nobles of the 5 great countries. From the daimyos down to the local lords. The so-called ninja wars were, at their core, nothing more than a game of prestige. They didn't care whether ninjas lived or died, what mattered to them were the vanity of great power status and the wealth that naturally followed increased rank. As for the commoners, which noble truly cared about them? To the nobility, commoners were like sewer rats, weeds in a field, or cockroaches. Always multiplying, always replaceable. Cut one batch down, and another would rise up on its own. Under the control of the daimyo's samurai armies and ninja forces, they willingly offered their labor and even their children, praying for that tiny bit of protection. Therefore, no matter how brutal the ninja wars seemed, within the framework of separation between villages, nations, and military from civilian governance, they had little real impact on the aristocratic elite. After all, ninjas who didn't directly engage in actual production or management relied on the nobles for financial and material support. To the nobility, the wars fought by ninja over mission quotas were no different from rabid wolves tearing each other apart over scraps of meat. But everything changed when Hakone Prefecture fell. First came A's Hidden Clouds Village Ninja Force, choosing to set up their command center inside the city to conceal their movements, which led to an attack by Hidden Leaf Village Ninja. Along with massive civilian casualties, nobles also suffered unexpected disaster. Then, with Hidden Clouds Village as counterattack and cleansing operations crushed, the local nobles endured even greater suffering amidst street-to-street fighting once the city walls were breached. Especially those nobles foolish enough to hide scattered Hidden Clouds Village ninjas within their mansions for self-protection, hoping to use them as leverage. But under the Byakugan eye of the Hyuga ninja, all these ordinary people sheltering alongside ninja were identified as hostile entities and mercilessly eliminated without exception. Yet this was still just the beginning. After the fall of Hakone Prefecture came the northward advance led mainly by Hokage-aligned ninja forces, who successively broke through several prefectural cities and completely wiped out the samurai armies controlled by the local guardian nobles. But compared to the actions of Hyuga's pacification ninja army, all of this was like a drop in the ocean. Prior to this, the northern Jonin forces composed of Hokage faction ninja had always refrained from staying long after capturing a city out of fear of retaliatory strikes from Hidden Clouds Village's massive army. They hadn't even raised their blades against local aristocrats. At most, they just looted some unguarded treasures before leaving quickly. Although the aristocrats suffered losses, they could directly swallow up any remaining or undiscovered repository assets after Hidden Leaf Village ninjas left, then send letters requesting emergency relief funds and supplies from the daimyo's court. But Hyuga was different. He refused to let middlemen profit. He wanted it all. So when the city fell again, nobles based on stereotypes offered no futile resistance. However, what awaited them wasn't an opportunity to scavenge but rather kunai flashing with eerie blue light threatening their lives. Under these ninja threats combined with ganjutsu manipulation, the aristocrats performed no better than the lowest paupers. Once those kunai pressed against their necks, these previously arrogant nobles who once claimed their bloodline superiority immediately spilled everything like beans from a tipped barrel. Then came a locust-like swarm that devoured every last coin of the aristocrats' generational wealth. Even daily necessities like grain and cloth that couldn't easily be carried away were distributed generously across the city under Hyuga's orders, showering everyone with benefits. This absolutely broke the hearts of captured aristocrats who could bear seeing precious white rice handed out to despicable commoners like this. It was simply outrageous. Thus, Hyuga's naturally became the darling child of newborn figures like Dongsai and Bang. The chief culprit disrupting peace in the ninja world and outlaw harming aristocrats. However, the kunai of condemnation ultimately outweighs mere verbal criticism. No matter how furious defeated aristocrats became behind closed doors, ranting, cursing, sticking pins into effigies, it didn't hinder Hyuga's from remaining invincible, conquering city after city. As for civilians in the Land of Lightning whose good fortune arrived unexpectedly from Hidden Leaf Village while they stayed safely at home, those blood-soaked Hidden Leaf Village ninja bursting into cities seemed just like celestial guardians bestowing miraculous kindness upon them. Who else in the world would ever see ninja freely giving things to common people? Such polarized perceptions peaked after Hidden Leaf Village ninja forces withdrew from captured cities and moved elsewhere. Noble families desperate to recover losses naturally targeted recently enriched commoners. What you eat, wear, and use. All belong to me. Driven by this mindset, local aristocrats quickly counterattacked upon Hidden Leaf Village forces' withdrawal, ruthlessly extorting and blackmailing commoners who hadn't yet finished celebrating their sudden windfall. Kicking them headfirst into despair. Therefore, spontaneous armed resistance by commoners naturally arose. Because the noble family's samurai armies had been either decimated or scattered during the Leaf Village's invasion, they lacked sufficient strength when the nobles hastily began to oppress the commoners. At the very least, they no longer held a power so overwhelming that it separated them from the common folk. Thus, after the commoners launched consecutive armed uprisings that defeated the nobles' henchmen, those originally fearful peasants who timidly picked up crude weapons to protect their own interests suddenly realized the lofty nobles were not actually invincible. Originally thought nobles were untouchable until they saw with their own eyes how nobles died just as easily when struck down. Suddenly, from the commoners' perspective, the nobility's halo of superiority completely faded away. Their so-called noble bloodlines were no longer sacred, and the ruling status once protected by martial might rapidly crumbled. The central provinces of the Land of Lightning, already ravaged by warfare, quickly descended into a full-scale free-for-all chaos. As a result, the courtiers remaining at the daimyo's mansion grew extremely anxious. The reason they had maintained power and enjoyed lives of luxury within the daimyo's court was precisely because, especially after the rice riots began spreading toward the Ginai region directly governed by the daimyo himself, even the daimyo who had initially hoped to use rioters to weaken the courtiers' influence finally lost his composure as well. Overnight, the Lightning Daimyo issued 18 imperial edicts to Hidden Cloud's village, demanding that the Third Raikage immediately dispatch ninja forces to eliminate those reckless leaf invaders. Meanwhile, the Lightning Daimyo also ordered ceremonial officials to send a diplomatic delegation with a letter of protest to the fired daimyo. However, shortly after this envoy left the Ginai territory surrounding the daimyo's mansion, it silently disappeared into the chaotic sea of rebels flooding the central provinces. This time, even the Lightning Daimyo was genuinely stunned. Then, those guardian ninjas who had avoided battle to preserve their strength quickly learned the reason behind the missing envoy. After complete disorder overtook the central provinces of the Land of Lightning, black market ninja and masterless ronin previously lurking underground surged forth like swarming locusts, disguising themselves within rebel ranks and swiftly seizing leadership positions. In other words, this was no longer simply a peasant rice riot. It was an outright subversion by underground criminal forces against the established system dominated by the daimyo nobility and ninja villages. This truly terrified the daimyo beyond measure. Previously, under continuous pressure from village ninja, those black market ninja and masterless rogues could only cower in shadows like rats in sewers, barely surviving through harsh and limited black market missions. Although noble families knew of their existence. And some even secretly profited from them. Involvement remained controlled. But now, with surface order utterly destroyed, there was nobody left within the central provinces of the Land of Lightning capable of balancing these wildly rampaging outlaws. Lord's Shu, our sealing scrolls are already full. Hyuga's Shu received this report from his assistant aide-de-camp, Midata Takahiro, while resting after capturing their 7th city. Didn't everyone carry at least 2 sealing scrolls? How come they filled up so fast? Hyuga's Shu asked in surprise. Could the loot really be that huge? He hadn't noticed anything special. Indeed, especially since the confiscated ninja tools are taking up so much space. Explained Midata Takahiro. Destroy all the low-value ninja tools and discard trinkets like silver coins. Only sealing scrolls carrying value no less than gold can in equivalent weight are allowed to be kept. Upon hearing this, Hyuga immediately realized that his underpaid civilian-born ninja would likely fall into pack-rat mode, never wanting to part with anything they found. He quickly issued a strict order: anyone who violates this rule will have all their spoils confiscated upon inspection back at the main camp. Yes, sir. Midata Takahiro saluted and left promptly to pass on the top command to the Hidden Leaf village ninja who had taken part in the battle. Now that's a good kind of problem, remarked Miharu Uchiha cheerfully while polishing an excellent top-grade katana she had just seized. There are still 3 cities ahead of us. Once we wrap up operations in the central area of the Lightning Country, our mission will be deemed a full success. Hyuga drew a circle on the map where they were currently stationed, marking the area as cleared of enemies. Miharu Uchiha made a sudden move to corner him. Only forced Shu to beat her to the punch, stepping forward quickly and silencing her with a kiss. In the midst of a garden brimming with spring's vibrant hues, something new bloomed silently between them. Chapter 147, The Advancing Miao. After capturing the 10th city, Hyuga finally halted his campaign of conquest. If he continued advancing, he would soon enter the Kina region directly governed by the Lightning Daimyo or take a detour toward the northern border of the Land of Lightning, where Hidden Cloud's village was located. Considering that he had not brought many ninja with him on this expedition, he quickly abandoned the idea of heading northward. Naturally, the Kina region around the Lightning Daimyo's court became his next target. Before launching an offensive, out of caution, Sashu ordered Takahiro Uchiha to dispatch intelligence operatives disguised as minor nobles fleeing devastation in their domains. They infiltrated the Kina region under noble disguises to sow confusion and extract intelligence. At the same time, through Toshimeki Yamanaka, he also contacted Tsukumo Hatake stationed at the rear command, to inquire if there were plans to launch an offensive on the Lightning Daimyo's court. Tsukumo, known for his caution, advised Sashu to regroup and await the next wave of ninja reinforcements before proceeding northward for a decisive battle. After all, Hidden Cloud's village had remained far too calm. Even though Tsukumo and others knew Hidden Cloud's village had suffered heavy losses during the Eight Tails incident, its decision to remain passive while 10 provinces across the central provinces were conquered by Hyuga Sashu left them no choice but to suspect Hidden Cloud's village's true intentions. Yet before Takahiro Uchiha's intelligence units could uncover useful information, Hidden Cloud's village openly began marching southward in full force. This time, they assembled an army of over 6,000 Hidden Cloud's village ninja, launching a massive southern campaign under the command of elite Jonin Dodai. Undoubtedly, this force completely outmatched the mere few hundred commanded by Hyuga Sashu. Despite his confidence in his abilities, Sashu knew that 300 men could never match up to Hidden Cloud's village's 6,000-strong force. Therefore, once Hidden Cloud's village's ninja force arrived near the Lightning Daimyo's court, Sashu withdrew his forces from the cities bordering the court's domain. Although Dodai commanded such a massive force, he proceeded very cautiously. Upon learning that Sashu's forces had retreated south of the Kino region, he did not rush into aggressive pursuit or unrelenting chase. Instead, he carefully dispatched a regiment of 1,000 ninja into the province, beginning operations to eliminate rebels and black market ninjas who had exploited the chaos to seize control. Though these black market ninjas were often more ruthless than ninja from the 5 great villages, their numbers were small and their quality uneven. Furthermore, since most black market ninjas and werewolf types preferred operating alone, they lacked experience in organized battles. As a result, they were completely wiped out within less than a day of being hunted down by Hidden Cloud's village ninja. But this was just the appetizer. While clearing out rioters from southern cities near the Kino region, Dodai also ordered his ninja force to block key transportation routes between the cities, cutting off communications among rebels and underground ninjas. After successfully eradicating the first province, Dodai immediately deployed 2 additional 1,000-man regiments, launching a ruthless cleansing campaign across the central provinces. According to the demands of the daimyo and courtiers, anyone bearing iron weapons would be regarded as rebels. The Hidden Cloud's village ninja loyally carried out this order without mercy during the suppression operations. Their ruthless purges caused more devastation than even the Hidden Leaf village invasion and the riots led by the black market ninjas. The efficiency of Hidden Cloud's village's forces was deadly. Just as Hyuga Shu advanced into the southernmost city of the Land of Lightning Central region, the Hidden Cloud's village ninja force had already recaptured 6 cities under Dodai's careful planning. As for the other 3 cities that weren't targeted with dispatched forces, it was mainly because they were relatively distant. Due to incomplete intelligence, Dodai had no idea about the whereabouts of other Hidden Leaf village ninja units beyond the elite force led by Hyuga Shu, so he truly didn't dare to redeploy forces across regions, fearing an accidental ambush by Hidden Leaf Village forces. After all, during that previous quiet period when they licked their wounds, Hidden Cloud's village hadn't been idle either. Although most of the village's military supplies repository had been destroyed during the Eight Tails incident, and even the former Eight Tails Jinchuriki, Burubai, had been seriously injured and bedridden from direct intervention by the Third Reich Hage during the taming operation, overall, although many villagers had sustained injuries, very few Hidden Cloud's village ninja actually died due to the tailed beast's rampage. Moreover, during that silent time for the entire village, the Hidden Cloud's village Jonin Assembly had also re-examined the string of defeats since the war against Hidden Leaf Village based on limited available information. One important conclusion reached was a severe lack of battlefield reconnaissance, especially when facing the Byakugan-wielding ninja of Hidden Leaf Village. Hidden Cloud's village had essentially been one-sidedly transparent, completely placed in a passive position of receiving blows. Regarding this issue, Hidden Cloud's village had no suitable countermeasure, so they could only adopt the most primitive method, building solid fortifications and engaging in stubborn warfare, advancing cautiously while maintaining appropriate distances among various ninja forces, conducting medium-intensity operations. Therefore, even Shu, who commanded a large group of Byakugan ninja, couldn't find any weakness in the Hidden Cloud's village ninja forces during their campaign to eliminate rebels, forcing him to abandon his plan for a long-range surprise attack targeting specific objectives. It worked. After receiving reports confirming complete recovery of the 7 cities by the 3 dispatched 1,000-man battalions, the cautious Dodai finally could relax and sleep peacefully. He still kept a reserve force of 3,000 Hidden Cloud's village ninja, ready at a moment's notice. Even when faced with demands and questions from the noble daimyo and courtiers, he remained unmoved, refusing to agree to their proposals for relentless pursuit and a large-scale southern advance. As for the noble's grandiose talk of defeating the invading Hidden Leaf Village forces in one decisive battle, Dodai didn't even bother pretending to consider it. After all, although Hidden Cloud's village appeared mighty and powerful at this moment, numerous hidden dangers still lurked beneath the surface. First was the matter of military supplies. Since most village storage facilities had been destroyed during the Eight Tails incident, combined with the devastation caused by Shu's northern conquest army sweeping through cities in the central land of lightning, raising the old rule and trade networks that once stood, Hidden Cloud's village now faced supply shortages as well. Though the Third Reich Hage had been compelled to mobilize the village's ninja for war after receiving no fewer than 18 decrees from the daimyo, in reality, the ninja force was severely under-equipped. Critical explosive tags, for instance, didn't even meet the minimum standard of 5 per person. What's more, while Dodai had dispatched 3 full 1,000-man battalions at once to clear out various provinces, the truth was that the ninja tools carried by these deployed units had been hastily reallocated from the General Reserve Force, all to prevent any potential Hidden Leaf Village scouts from detecting Hidden Cloud's village's hidden weakness beneath its aggressive posturing. So all things considered, only someone completely reckless like Dodai would actually take orders from those aristocrats and recklessly throw the ninja force into the front lines. Still buzzing with excitement and having barely closed his eyes since leading his forces southward, Dodai found himself wide awake. So he slipped into some civilian clothes, stepped out of the central war tent, and headed straight for a safe house within the lightning daimyo's court to unwind. Let's face it, ninja may be disciplined, but they're still human. After dragging through such a long-ass war, can't they at least take a moment to breathe? Considering how much the situation in the Land of Lightning had improved after successfully retaking 7 provinces, Dodai's slight lapse in vigilance was indeed quite understandable. Dodai. Seeing their commander wearing a cheerful smile, the Hidden Cloud's village ninjas around camp who merely caught sight of him politely bowed in greeting. "You've all done great," he said cheerfully, then surprisingly took the time to chat with the lower and mid-level jonin, asking how their latest missions went and cracking jokes to lighten the mood. "Ever since those Hidden Leaf Village Southerners hightailed it out of here, peace has mostly returned to the region. Even the previously reclaimed central provinces are beginning to stabilize. The nobles are very pleased," one ninja replied, naturally saying exactly what the commander wanted to hear. Such behavior was perfectly normal. Sure, Hidden Cloud's village prided itself on unity, but that didn't erase the subtleties and complexities of personal relationships. They simply played out behind the scenes. The outside world often believed Hidden Cloud's village ninjas never needed to deal with personal connections, but this was merely an idealized illusion. An oversimplified view held by those who saw things from afar without full understanding. Dodai himself felt deeply satisfied by his subordinates' respectful attitudes. After asking a few routine questions about food rations and mission rewards, he waved off the lower-ranking ninjas, allowing them to go as they pleased. He couldn't wait anymore. He longed to loosen up his tightly wound nerves at the steakhouse in the daimyo's palace. These cats. Where did they come from? As the relaxed Dodai casually strolled toward the main gate of the main base camp, he suddenly sensed something strange. Why were there cats inside the camp? He immediately called over a Jonin officer who happened to be on duty, directing his gaze towards several cats lounging in the sun, mouths full of dead mice, and asked curiously, "Are these stray cats that wandered in by accident, or pets deliberately raised by our ninja?" Huh? The on-duty Hidden Clouds Village Jonin also didn't know the details, but since his superior had asked, he could only give a vague answer with gritted teeth. Due to a serious rat problem at the camp, some of the station ninja adopted several stray cats. Later, for unknown reasons, more cats showed up from outside as well. However, these cats have all been examined and confirmed to be nothing more than ordinary beasts, so everyone just lets them live in the camp. And we don't even need to feed them, they can catch mice themselves. Plus, everyone really likes them. Trying to make his story sound believable, the on-duty Jonin waved at the stray cats to call them over. Meow. A large, fat orange cat let out a loud meow, then walked over with a mouse in its mouth, dropping it at the Jonin's feet before pawing gently at his toes. Just look at that. This cat is practically smart enough to understand humans. The on-duty Jonin's face brightened with joy. Not bad, said Dodai, carefully observing the stray cats as well. Seeing nothing suspicious, he didn't ask any further questions and assumed his earlier unease had just been his imagination playing tricks. Still, this matter goes against regulations. However, considering their usefulness in catching mice, I'll choose not to take disciplinary action. Just make sure never to recklessly allow wild creatures into the camp again. Nonetheless, Dodai instinctively scolded him briefly before leaving the camp, the on-duty Jonin nodding and assuring repeatedly behind him. What a good little kitty. Once his superior left, the whiskered Jonin finally relaxed completely. He hugged the big orange cat and gave it several kisses before carrying it to his tent and feeding it dried fish. After finishing this, take a nap inside the tent. Tonight, I'll catch some fresh fish from the river and roast them up for you. Oh, and please don't urinate indoors or mess up any documents, got it? As he handed out the fish jerky, his face softened with affection. He had clearly already grown quite fond of the cat, murmuring softly, "And don't run off anywhere, or else you might step right into traps. Now wouldn't that be terrible?" Of course, the orange cat simply devoured the treat voraciously, occasionally rubbing against the Jonin's palm but otherwise keeping its head down, tearing through the delicious snack hungrily. The Jonin didn't mind at all. It was just a stray cat, after all, and couldn't be expected to understand human speech. Yet, he did feel there was something special about this particular big orange cat. A feeling of connection. If he fed it carefully and supplemented its diet with some secret medicinal potions, perhaps he could actually train it into quite a capable ninja animal companion. After gorging itself until its belly was round and full, the orange cat sprawled flat on the ground, exposing its stomach as it blissfully fell asleep, and ignoring the Jonin's playful gestures. The Jonin found nothing unusual about this behavior, assuming it was just typical cat nature. Thus, he exited the tent and resumed his patrol duties. However, moments after his departure, the very same orange cat. Previously purring as though deeply asleep. Suddenly became fully awake. First, it went around marking each corner of the tent with urine, then stood upright cautiously, beginning to rummage methodically through the interior. Sometimes there were papers covered in writing. The orange cat would immediately bring the papers up to its face, its large blue-green eyes glowing red as if scanning the words into its memory. Then, the cat carefully returned the papers to their original positions, deliberately pawing through and scattering them to leave signs of mischief before strutting out of the tent like only a cat could, letting out soft meows while heading toward the edge of the camp. The Hidden Clouds Village ninjas who had witnessed Jonin carrying the orange cat into the tent paid no attention, simply assuming it was a wild animal driven by loneliness to sneak out. Therefore, no one cared about the movements of an ordinary cat. Once reaching the edge of the Hidden Clouds Village camp, the cat's ears twitched sensitively, acting like radar to detect every slight movement around. After confirming that no one was nearby, it let out a loud meow and leaped away from the camp, running swiftly toward the distant forest. What's going on with that cat? At this moment, a Hidden Clouds Village lookout also noticed the running cat figure. Nothing to worry about. It'll come back on its own tonight. Another Hidden Clouds Village ninja took a glance but merely replied carelessly before returning his full attention to observing any suspicious signs from all directions. Lord's Shoe, urgent message from the ninja animal companion. In the central southern part of the Land of Lightning, at the headquarters of the reconnaissance ninja force, Takahiro Uchiha hurriedly arrived at Hyuga's Shoe's tent. He had just retrieved secret intel from a stealthy ninja animal companion and now handed over a highly classified report. Hyuga's Shoe immediately opened the letter and began reading. A satisfied smile gradually appeared on his face. No wonder it's the Uchiha clan's contracted ninja animal companion. Now that's what I call top-notch intel work. As a superior officer, Hyuga's Shoe never hesitated to give free praise. His string of compliments left Takahiro beaming with pride and joy. Now that we've confirmed Hidden Cloud's village's deployment and supply situation, process this intelligence and send it to Sakamo. Hyuga put the intelligence report into an envelope and sealed it before handing it back to Takahiro Uchiha, continuing, also, before the ninja force takes action, don't let the ninja animal companions infiltrating the enemy camp transmit any more intel. We must avoid accidental exposure. Understood. Takahiro Uchiha immediately accepted the order and left. Chapter 148. I know you're in a hurry. Objectively speaking, compared with the Uchiha clan, the Hyuga clan. Who had always longed to compete and prove superiority. Had practically nothing going for them besides their so-called noble elegance. Of course, members of the Hyuga main house might still proudly claim their clan's unity. But as for branch house ninja, whose lives and emotions were tightly bound under the main house's control, that kind of unity was impossible. Especially when comparing their extremely limited combat tactics. The ninja of the Uchiha clan were full of clever tricks and endless secret techniques. This time, once again achieving major success in intelligence reconnaissance, were the ninja animal companions. The Uchiha clan's hereditary contracting partners. These ninja animal companions possessed not only high intellect but also superb stealth and disguise abilities. They were the most capable allies for Uchiha ninjas, enabling Takahiro Uchiha's intelligence operations to remain consistently successful. In fact, his intel gathering speed even surpassed that of Hidden Leaf Village's intelligence division and root division in certain cases. Unlike the Byakugan-wielding Hyuga ninja who needed to physically approach within a certain distance for surveillance, these disguised ninja animal companions were nearly indistinguishable from ordinary stray cats found everywhere. Their tone and behavior were flawlessly mimicked, utterly convincing. Moreover, shinobi cats could infiltrate areas by mingling into groups of regular stray cats, using normal felines as natural cover. Thus, by using other cats to clear dangerous paths ahead, they significantly reduced infiltration risks. This time, one of Takahiro Uchiha's prized ninja cat 4 Kings. Jinchai Huang. Was sent deep behind enemy lines on a mission to gather intelligence near the Lightning Daimyo's court. However, for ninja animal companions themselves, the feuds, honors, and reputations of ninja held no meaning. Plus, to protect the secrecy surrounding ninja animal companions' existence and roles, all reports sent to Sakamo Hatake never mentioned the ninja animal companions at all. Instead, an entirely fictional intelligence network was fabricated in their place. If the intelligence is accurate, we should immediately dispatch our elite ninja force to engage them in battle right away. After receiving the report sent by Hyuga's messenger, Sakamo Hatake quickly skimmed through the document, and this thought immediately crossed his mind. Yet on the surface, he calmly tucked away the seemingly ordinary letter and envelope, then casually exchanged a few words with a Hyuga ninja serving as the courier, asking about Hyuga's recent activities and health condition, creating the illusion that Shu's message was merely a friendly personal correspondence. The reason was simple. Hyuga's report painted such a disastrous picture of current affairs in Hidden Cloud's village that Sakamo had no choice but to proceed with utmost caution. According to intelligence obtained by the Ninja Cat clan's infiltration into Hidden Cloud's village's Southern Expeditionary Force's main camp, more than 2/3 of the 6,000 ninja currently marching south are gained in. They also seriously lack medications, medical ninja support, and other essential supplies for sustaining combat operations. Even basic military equipment like explosive tags, kunai, and shuriken are extremely scarce. Except for 3 carefully chosen regiments deployed to impress, the rest stationed at the main base are mostly poorly trained recruits. That might have been acceptable under normal circumstances. Even if Hidden Cloud's village were severely weakened at this moment, it is still one of the 5 great ninja villages. An entity with deep-rooted strength not easily defeated or destroyed. Even more concerning, during their intelligence-gathering activities inside the Hidden Cloud's village main camp, the Ninja Cat clan intercepted secret communications among Jonin officers that revealed alarming information. Mist appeared to be making moves in the northwest region of Land of Lightning. Most critically, the 7 Swords of the Bloody Mist. The elite special forces of Hidden Mist. Had been spotted along the coastal areas in the northwest of the Land of Lightning. Even when Mist previously infiltrated the former territory of Whirlpool Country along the eastern coast of Land of Fire, they hadn't deployed such high-level strength. Therefore, after defeating the rampaging Eight-Tails Jinchuriki, and despite lingering injuries from that battle, the Third Reich Hage had no choice but to adopt a strategy of deception. To create a false appearance of strength capable of intimidating Hidden Lee Village's forces, hoping to first drive off any threats from Mist before turning his attention southward for a decisive confrontation against Hidden Lee Village. After all, geographically speaking, there were practically no natural defenses in the northwest coastal regions of the Land of Lightning. If Mist managed to launch successfully and establish a forward base there, they would be able to advance swiftly and unimpeded straight into Ramai Canyon. The heartland of Hidden Cloud Village itself. This was no laughing matter. Just as Hidden Cloud prepared to face this looming threat from Mist, 18 urgent decrees were issued from the daimyo and courtiers of the Land of Lightning, arriving straight at Ramai Canyon. The tone was more forceful than ever before, pressuring Hidden Cloud to immediately mobilize its ninja forces for war. At that critical moment, the only viable option left for the Third Raikage was to resort to deception. Originally, this plan had proceeded quite smoothly. After all, the sheer number of 6,000 ninja marching forth sounded intimidating enough on its own. Likewise, Hyuga's Shu. Who was vastly outnumbered. Chose not to recklessly engage, immediately withdrawing instead to avoid direct conflict. Still, Nodai. The commander leading Hidden Cloud's village's southern expedition. Never expected that the Uchiha clan's ninja cat possessed such formidable camouflage abilities. To his astonishment, it had boldly sneaked right into the heart of Hidden Cloud's village's camp under an apparent guise of innocence and unearthed every single detail about Hidden Cloud's village's true weakness. After a long night of contemplation, Sakamo Hatake made his decision. Acting in his capacity as Jonin unit leader, he sent an official report back to the village, formally inviting Third Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi to personally lead his forces in what would become an epic, all-out showdown with Hidden Cloud. However, taking Shu's warning into account, Sakamo chose to tell the truth. Just not the complete truth. His confidential message back to the village detailed Hidden Cloud's village's current situation accurately, yet deliberately omitted mentioning how exactly such crucial intelligence had been acquired. Of course, Sakamo Hatake didn't really expect Hiruzen Sarutobi, known as the Professor, to agree to such a seemingly reckless proposal. After all, Hidden Cloud's village's strength was universally recognized. The village headquarters were extremely important, and Hidden Leaf Village's ninja clans had always been difficult to manage. If the Third Hokage rashly left the village for battle, catastrophe could follow. Like a king marching into war and never returning, or succumbing to illness from exposure during a harsh campaign. Therefore, Sakamo Hatake soon received a reply from the Hokage Tower, exactly as he expected. Engaging in war between ninja villages must be handled with caution. Do not rashly speak of decisive battles. Strategic planning must be thorough and comprehensive. The implied meaning behind that message was clear. The Third Hokage would not personally lead forces against Hidden Cloud's village. Soon afterward, Sakamo Hatake directly ordered his ninja force to begin gathering supplies, cancelled all scheduled ninja leaves and rotations, and sent a second secret letter to the village, stating that with the Raikage stationed at the main base and the southern Hidden Cloud's village forces occupied elsewhere, this was the best opportunity for a decisive confrontation. But later that afternoon, another reply arrived from Hidden Leaf Village, reaching Sakamo Hatake's hands. In the letter, the Third Hokage once again emphasized the principle of cautious military operations and prioritizing intelligence gathering, ordering Sakamo Hatake not to act rashly until confirming the Third Raikage wouldn't secretly leave the village to join battle. What the Third Hokage and the two elder advisors involved in decision-making didn't know was that the Uchiha clan's ninja animal companions had already completely uncovered the truth about Hidden Cloud's village's southern forces. Since that was the case, Sakamo Hatake naturally took the opportunity to invoke the saying, "A general in the field must sometimes act without waiting for orders from above," and began deploying troops to confront Hidden Cloud's village's 6,000-strong ninja forces head-on. Before learning the true situation regarding Hidden Cloud's village, Sakamo Hatake had remained cautious precisely because he lacked confidence fighting both the Third Raikage and the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki. But now, upon hearing that the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki had gone berserk and was being restrained, thus unable to fight anytime soon, and that the Third Raikage himself was tied down at the village by intrusive hidden mist ninja probing around, plus Hyuga Shu's intelligence report even listed the names of all Hidden Cloud's village jonin participating in the upcoming campaign in detail. If even under these circumstances Sakamo Hatake still hesitated to risk everything in one bold move, then he wouldn't deserve the title of White Fang, the terror of the ninja world. Thus, though the Hidden Leaf Village ninja stationed at Hakone Castle found their commander's orders somewhat puzzling, they could only follow them obediently. Sakamo Hatake didn't bother explaining unnecessarily to them either. He made it clear, understand the orders, and obey. Don't understand them. Obedience comes first, comprehension will follow through action. Although this kind of demand was uncharacteristic of Sakamo Hatake's usual manner, the ninja had no choice but to set aside their curiosity and unease and prepare for war with discipline. At the same time, Hyuga Shu also issued mobilization orders, recalling all border defense forces stationed at the prefectural base back northward, establishing defenses across various districts north of Hakone Castle, and enthusiastically beginning construction of defensive fortifications. They went through all that trouble just to make it look like a tense standoff, so Hidden Cloud's village would focus their attention on the frontline deployments. At the same time, this arrangement better concealed activities behind the scenes. Even if Hidden Clouds Village's spies or scouts noticed strange activity from Hidden Leaf Village in Hakone Prefecture City, they'd think it was just about building defenses. Hidden Leaf Village must also be urgently mobilizing their ninja forces. In the main Hidden Clouds Village camp located in the Kino region near Lightning Daimyo's court, Commander Dodai reached this conclusion after reviewing recent intelligence reports. My lord, what leads you to believe so? One of his subordinate Jonin immediately played along. Since the start of hostilities between our villages, this is the first time the southern barbarians from Hidden Leaf Village have built defenses. Dodai proudly explained. This will surely turn the tide in our war with Hidden Leaf Village. How so? Clearly, this Hidden Clouds Village ninja was eager to learn. Dodai didn't mind whether his subordinates truly understood such basic concepts. In a particularly good mood today, he patiently elaborated, after suffering this setback, Hidden Leaf Village's offensive momentum has certainly weakened. Like a worn-out kunai that can't even pierce a regular ninja vest anymore, once they shift from attacking to building fortifications, it means they've lost the courage to continue their assault. I see. No wonder you're Dodai-sama. The Hidden Clouds Village ninja immediately pretended to grasp the concept. Dodai-sama brilliantly manipulates Hidden Leaf Village as though you're pulling all the strings right from under their noses. Truly the wise general everyone recognizes. With Dodai-sama personally leading the charge, those insignificant Hidden Leaf Village southerners are naturally nothing to worry about. In no time, a chorus of praise filled the tent, making Dodai feel totally in command. However, Lord Daimyo has been urging us to recover the other 3 cities. Shouldn't we? Unfortunately, one clueless Hidden Clouds Village ninja still dared to speak up at this moment. Immediately, the tent fell into deathly silence. That was a forbidden topic. The very reason Dodai had carefully dispatched his 3 most capable battalions to reclaim lost territories while actively avoiding direct confrontation with Hidden Leaf Village was because he clearly understood the weakness of his headquarters and the ferocity of Hidden Leaf Village forces. Unlike those overconfident young Hidden Clouds Village ninja, Dodai had experienced the first Great Ninja War firsthand and fully understood how Hidden Leaf Village ninja performed during wartime. Although for morale purposes Hidden Clouds Village continually claimed great victories during the first Great Ninja War. Including repeated defeats of Hidden Leaf Village forces. And even secretly cast suspicious aspersions on Dobirama Senshu, the second Hokage who perished in the rebel forces of Kinkaku and Ginkaku's hands, they still acknowledged that during the first Great Ninja War, despite Hidden Clouds Village facing a multi-front Hidden Leaf Village, they hadn't really gained any advantages. Battles may be manipulated, but battle lines never lie. Furthermore, the current invading Hidden Leaf Village forces showed exactly the same boldness and decisiveness as they had during the first Great Ninja War, leaving Dodai no choice but to proceed cautiously. As for the daimyo and courtiers' urgent demands for immediate action, Dodai treated them like passing wind. The main force hasn't finished replenishing supplies yet. Talking about battle at this point would be reckless and irrational. Dodai was preparing to smoothly steer the conversation away from this sensitive topic. The daimyo is already extremely anxious. The Hidden Clouds Village Jonin who had just spoken was in charge of communication between Hidden Clouds Village and various nobles at the daimyo's court. He himself was under immense pressure. Lord Dodai, the daimyo sent 12 military orders yesterday demanding immediate action from our main force. I've managed to suppress them so far. I know he's anxious. Dodai also began showing signs of impatience. Everyone present in this tent was a Hidden Clouds Village Jonin. Who among them didn't understand the true state of those 6,000 ninja troops? Under these circumstances, launching an offensive now wouldn't risk exposing our weakness and lead to complete defeat? Fine, I'll write back to the daimyo myself. Let him calm down first. After reconsidering, Dodai decided not to make things harder for this liaison officer caught between a rock and a hard place. Just then, however, a loud commotion broke out outside Hidden Clouds Village's camp. What's going on? Dodai's expression changed immediately. Ninja discipline was ironclad. Especially in camp. Unauthorized movement and noise were strictly forbidden. This sudden disturbance felt like a slap straight to his face, no different from someone openly accusing him of failing as a commander. Sirs. The daimyo has arrived. At that moment, a Hidden Clouds Village Chunin rushed in with shocking news. What? Dodai and all the Jonin inside the tent were instantly stunned. How come we weren't informed beforehand? Has his identity been confirmed? Could it be an impersonator? What about the advanced deployment of protective forces? Why wasn't I told? What if he gets assassinated? He came secretly with the supply convoy meant to boost troop morale. Only escorting guardian ninjas and 6 officials are present. His identity has already been verified without error. The daimyo is now entering the camp gates along with the convoy. Dodai fired off one question after another but received only one answer that nearly made him collapse. 1,000 camels seemed to gallop through Dodai's mind. A few beautifully worded curses nearly escaped his lips, but he managed to stop himself at the last moment. The other Hidden Clouds village jonin inside the tent could only exchange bewildered glances. Since when did the daimyo suddenly become so brave? Now I'm really left hanging out to dry. After a brief pause, Dodai sighed while holding his forehead. Chapter 149, Haste is futile. The sacredness of the daimyo is inviolable, and nobles are born superior. This is a prejudiced belief embedded in the ninja world like an ideological brand, thought Seal. Even more bizarre was the fact that, aside from the Uchiha, Hyuga, and the Senju long buried in history's dust, no other ninja. Including those from ordinary ninja clans. Seem to have any objection toward the reality where the weak controlled power while the strong remain subordinate. Even stranger still, even ruthless rogue ninja rarely targeted the feeble yet wealthy nobility. Instead, they hid anonymously in dark corners of black markets, surviving miserably on scraps left behind by aristocrats. Although he could not fully understand this phenomenon, Hyuga nevertheless felt deeply shocked. Especially after the Hidden Clouds Village ninja animal companions stationed at the Hidden Clouds Village Ninja Force headquarters suddenly broke their intelligence silence regulations and sent news about the Lightning Daimyo personally arriving at the ninja camp. Shu's first reaction was to recall all available jonin to make a full-scale assassination attempt on the Lightning Daimyo. However, with only the current jonin forces available in the border defense units, it would be difficult to match forces or execute such tactics effectively. Therefore, after brief consideration, Hyuga directly notified Sakamo Hatake of this good news, strongly recommending that he immediately summon all jonin to join him in launching a bold lightning war straight across the central provinces to strike the Hidden Clouds village camp near the Lightning Daimyo's palace. Yet Sakamo Hatake firmly rejected this suggestion. He rushed to Shu's frontline command post and pleaded with him not to pursue reckless ambitions against the daimyo, to avoid unnecessary bloodshed and disaster. Hyuga had no choice but reluctantly comply. However, through this incident, his eyes were once again opened wide to the inexplicable and deeply ingrained ideological brand persisting within the ninja world. Still filled with regret and sighs, he reluctantly returned home and made love to Miharu Uchiha as a way to vent his frustration. Meanwhile, as Hidden Leaf Village's ninja forces prepared themselves for battle, the Hidden Clouds Village ninja army, which had been confronting them for several days, also started making probing movements. After the daimyo arrived in person at the ninja army headquarters and occupied the central command tent, Sachi no Tai. Who served as commander. Could do nothing but submit beneath the daimyo's authority and reluctantly agree to dispatch Hidden Clouds Village ninja squads into the 3 southern fallen districts of the Land of Lightning in hopes of reclaiming lost territory. Nevertheless, what officials decree, subordinates can circumvent. Although the daimyo's pressure couldn't be refused, execution could still allow for reduction and slack. In particular, the 3 Hidden Clouds village jonin commanders. Each leading a troop. Were Dodai's trusted men and well aware of their own disadvantages. So when issuing military orders, Dodai made sure to use pre-arranged code words, indicating to merely carry out cautious probes without initiating large-scale engagements against Hidden Leaf Village's occupying forces. Hyuga was equally cooperative. Upon detecting the cautious advance of these small Hidden Clouds village squadrons, he deliberately abandoned several settlements along the district borders, allowing those advancing Hidden Clouds village detachments, determined to die fighting, to regain partial lost ground. When the Lightning Daimyo received news of a victory from the front lines, his immediate reaction was to take full credit for it, believing it proof of his brilliant and decisive leadership. Encouraged by agitated nobles whose lands had been previously occupied, the daimyo became even more confident, beginning an obsessive level of micromanagement. After pretending to analyze maps. Though in reality he simply stared at them blankly. The now self-proclaimed genius of ninja warfare directly requested rosters of the 3 battalions already dispatched by Hidden Clouds Village and began playing a child's coloring game on the map, assigning each ninja force squad with extreme precision. Lord Dodai, the battle plan has been fully arranged. Proceed immediately as instructed. When the daimyo personally handed over what he called a detailed military operation. Though it was really just childish scribbling. Dodai, a veteran hardened by countless battles, felt like he was about to completely lose it. Even without a close look, a single glance told Dodai that the daimyo's wild fantasy was truly painful to behold. Leaving everything else aside, who in their right mind would deploy every single ninja force unit across the board without discrimination? Wasn't there still a need for support personnel? A command center? Reserve forces prepared for Hidden Leaf Village's counterattacks? And how could medical ninja squads be treated like standard combat units and tossed into some color-coded zone to seize territory? What kind of nonsense was this? Could it be the daimyo thought Hidden Clouds Village had too many ninja and wanted to thin their ranks under the guise of war? My lord, this is highly problematic. Refusing to let the daimyo's foolishness send his elite troops to their deaths, Dodai immediately raised his voice in protest. The nation and the village are equal. Entrusting military affairs to the hidden village is the foundation of the one village, one nation system. You should not interfere with this, dare you speak so boldly. Before the lightning daimyo could even open his mouth, the courtiers tightly surrounding him jumped up, screeching angrily, if you weren't so incompetent, why would His Highness have to lower himself to such a filthy place? Now that our wise and mighty ruler has laid the path to victory, simply following it faithfully will send the hidden Leaf village forces retreating in disarray, and total victory along with a powerful counterattack shall be ours effortlessly. Dodai. I advise you not to bite the hand that feeds you. Otherwise, not even Lord Raikage will be able to protect you. A barrage of abuse rained down from these aristocrats, spittle flying as they screamed. But Dodai. Who had long since mastered the art of enduring humiliation. Was not angered at all. He simply ignored these pompous, clueless nobles and defiantly fixed his stare past the thin veil where the daimyo sat. No matter what, he couldn't allow this hopeless fool to recklessly endanger his own subordinates. Moreover, if a careless Hidden Leaf village counterattack shattered the carefully crafted illusion of Hidden Cloud's village's invincibility he'd worked so hard to build, it might ignite renewed fighting spirit among Hidden Leaf village's ninja. And then the mess would be nearly impossible to clean up. More importantly, to prevent enemy forces from discovering their weaknesses, Dodai never mentioned any disadvantages or flaws of their ninja forces to the lightning daimyo and courtiers. Even the threat from mist shinobi lurking along the northwest coastal region of the Land of Lightning was kept completely secret upon the Third Raikage's orders. All of this was done to act as a skillful cobbler, patching things together to help the village survive its most difficult times. Your Highness. Please withdraw your order. Dodai urged again. But the lightning daimyo behind the curtain still gave no response. Though the courtiers had stopped their furious cursing, they wore expressions filled with resentment, as if ready to devour Dodai alive. In matters of ninja warfare, I am not your equal, the lightning daimyo finally replied after a long silence. Dodai immediately felt a sense of relief, even taking comfort in the daimyo's rare moment of wisdom. But he rejoiced too soon. However, at this sudden shift in tone from the lightning daimyo, Dodai immediately became anxious. As for courage in battle, Minister Dodai, you're far from good enough. This arrogant declaration almost made Dodai furious enough to pass out. Your Highness. Dodai's tone was no longer respectful. It even carried a hint of threat. While he wouldn't dare lay hands on the sacred-born daimyo, Dodai wouldn't mind using other pretexts to send the daimyo back to the palace. If Minister Dodai insists on disagreeing, then we shall drop the matter. With a slight lift of his hand, the lightning daimyo signaled, and one of his courtiers immediately stepped forward to snatch back the battle strategy deployment that Dodai tightly held in his hands. Then he continued, this prince shall personally question the Raikage regarding the matter. Let's see how Hidden Cloud's village commands its ninja forces. I beg your Highness forgiveness. Dodai merely said politely. But the daimyo took this as Dodai backing down, so he pushed further, since you have your own plans, when exactly can you reclaim the 3 lost territories? And when will you counterattack into the Land of Fire? As for matters of ninja warfare, I naturally know my limits. I kindly ask your Highness to return to the palace for rest and avoid troubling yourself over such matters. Though seething inside, Dodai remained formally composed. Though his tone carried a sharp edge. Then we'll just wait for Minister Dodai's victory report. The lightning daimyo had no interest in further conversation and simply waved Dodai off. His attendants immediately ordered to move the royal procession back to the city. Phew. Finally got rid of that ignorant bunch of pompous fools. Only after the daimyo's entourage left the main camp did Dodai finally relax completely. Meow, a fat orange cat strutted gracefully toward Dodai, rubbing its round, fluffy head against Dodai's calves. Even Dodai, with a heart of stone, could feel it slowly melting. No wonder those young soldiers were so fond of these little wildcats. Despite doing nothing but catching mice. They'd sneak out occasionally to catch fish just for them, even risking punishment by secretly keeping the strays in their tents. Now Dodai could see that these affectionate little cuties truly are much more lovable than those pompous daimyos and courtiers who think nothing of themselves except for their power and wealth. Come here, little kitty. Uncle will take you for some cat treats. Dodai's face wrinkled into a smile like blooming chrysanthemums. He cackled weirdly as he scooped up the fat orange cat, stroking its fur while walking toward his tent. As long as you behave yourself, there'll be plenty of treats waiting for you. Dodai-sama, an inopportune messenger Jonin approached with urgent news. When we sent off the chariot earlier, I overheard the prince requesting the Minister of State to send word to our village, demanding that the Raikage personally lead the battle. What should we do? The third wouldn't give him the time of day. That'd be strange indeed. Dodai snorted coldly. Now that mist has grown bolder, we've confirmed over 1,000 enemy ninjas lurking along the northwest coast. The third won't head south until these suspicious riffraff get cleared out. Sigh. The messenger Jonin could only sigh helplessly without further words. The northwest coast of the Land of Lightning occupied an extremely delicate position. According to the Ninja World map, the Land of Water where Mist resides lay eastward across the sea from the Land of Lightning. In past incursions, Mist usually landed on eastern or northeastern shores. This appearance along the northwest coast seemed highly unusual since such a detour defied conventional military strategy. Another concern emerged too. Would Mist suddenly reconcile with Hidden Stone's village from the Land of Earth westward? Could they possibly conspire together to launch joint attacks against Hidden Cloud's village? Theoretically possible, otherwise why would Mist travel such a long distance? Thus, under current circumstances, the Third Reich Hage couldn't afford to move recklessly nor enter drawn-out battles where quick victories remained uncertain. Don't let these worries throw you off balance. Remember. You're a ninja. Have faith in the Third's judgment. Though slightly reproachful, Dodai didn't press harder against this dutiful messenger, continuing instead to scratch the orange cat resting in his arms with his rough palms. Although this purring feline appeared perfectly content. Just like any ordinary orange cat. It had already memorized crucial intelligence about Mist's unexpected presence along the Land of Lightning's northwest coast. Patiently waiting for a chance to escape, it planned to pass the information to its Uchiha contact in return for the finest bonito shavings. Time waits for no one. Upon receiving this breakthrough intelligence about Mist movements through the Ninja Animal Companion channel, Hyuga immediately turned back toward Hakone Prefecture City. He needed to meet with Sakamo Hatake, who was still organizing the various units of the ninja force. This time even Sakamo Hatake was genuinely intrigued. The sudden appearance of over 1,000 Mist ninjas signaled that their notorious aggression wasn't just about simple raids and skirmishes anymore. Worse yet, even the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Mist. The ace unit rumored capable of hunting down Kage-level targets. Had mobilized. Evidently, Mist harbored significant ambitions indeed. And this also meant they'd finished their tactical planning for the decisive showdown with the Hidden Cloud's village forces moving south. The only thing left now was to step into the fight. What a pity, someone sighed. It would have been great if we could pin down roughly when Mist would launch their attack on Hidden Cloud's village. Still, Sakamo Hatake couldn't help but feel a deep sense of regret. After all, such a thin piece of intelligence wasn't enough to give him real peace of mind. Hyuga, though, didn't react at all. As if he hadn't even been listening. He wasn't some fortune-telling turtle in a temple pond. How the hell was he supposed to know everything? So instead, he kept insisting that the time for the decisive battle was almost here. Missing this chance would be unforgivable. If they hesitated any longer, the Eight-Tails Jinchuriki, currently locked down because of his unstable condition and temporarily out of action, might soon regain control. And that would spell real trouble. If that's decided, then we'll launch our full attack in 3 days. Sakamo Hatake realized he couldn't change Hyuga's mind, so he dropped it and made the call to begin the war immediately. Chapter 150, Army at the Gates. After a period of preparation, Hidden Leaf Village's northern offensive force now consisted not only of over 1,000 border forces under Hyuga's command, but also nearly 6,000 Hidden Leaf Village ninja led by Sakamo Hatake. This was the entire ninja force Hidden Leaf Village had barely scraped together after mobilizing every available ninja in the village. Even accounting for those injured or required to remain behind for defense, Sakamo could still muster around 4,000 combat-ready ninja for frontline deployment. Therefore, purely in terms of troop numbers facing Cloud's advancing army, Hidden Leaf Village actually held a slight advantage. However, Sakamo didn't intend to completely annihilate Cloud's forces right at the outbreak of war. His primary goal was to paralyze Hidden Cloud's village's command headquarters through a lightning-fast initial assault, then deal with remaining forces afterward. After extensive discussions with Hyuga, Orochimaru, and others, Sakamo decided to redeploy an additional 1,000 reinforcement ninja to serve under Hyuga as a feint force to tie down the 3 battalions that Hidden Cloud's village had scattered across the central provinces. Meanwhile, Sakamo himself would lead 3,000 elite ninja alongside the 3 Hokage disciples on a direct piercing assault deep into enemy territory targeting Hidden Cloud's village ninja force's main camp. Relatively speaking, although Hyuga's 2,000-strong Hidden Leaf Village force would be engaging and pinning down Hidden Cloud's village's 3 battalions deployed in the central provinces, thanks to a major asymmetry in intelligence between both sides, Shu remained confident he could suppress Hidden Cloud's village temporarily by exploiting timing differences. As for complete destruction or annihilation, this would require Sakamo's piercing force to successfully eliminate Hidden Cloud's village's command headquarters first, then redeploy and return to assist in encircling, intercepting, and destroying remaining enemy forces. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Later that same morning, upon receiving Hyuga's report of the attack initiation, Sakamo immediately ordered his detachment to break camp, leading the elite Jonin and 3,000 elite ninja forces northward toward the Lightning Daimyo's court. Although invading the daimyo's domain was technically an affront to a sovereign ruler's sacred status, Sakamo had no choice in this matter. After all, who told Hidden Cloud's village to establish their main camp precisely within the Lightning Daimyo's personal territory? Besides, technically speaking, so long as they didn't enter the daimyo's inner palace grounds, this wouldn't constitute open insult toward the noble lord. Once victory achieved, Hidden Cloud's village would never again manage to mobilize battalion-sized forces, having their backbone thoroughly shattered. Even if Raikage possessed immense power himself, he'd still just be human. Surrounded by overwhelming odds, even the strongest would eventually be overwhelmed and fall. Moreover, Sakamo believed that as long as the Lightning Daimyo wasn't out of his mind, he wouldn't dare harbor overt resentment toward Hidden Leaf Village for prevailing in inter-village warfare. Who knows, Hidden Leaf Village might even end up securing more than half of the task quotas from the Land of Lightning. After all, ninja clans, who neither farmed nor produced goods, were dependent on noble houses for survival. Whether serving one daimyo or two made little difference. If task quotas were awarded entirely to Hidden Leaf Village, tensions between Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Cloud's village would naturally dissipate, thus forging a new playbook for peace in the ninja world. Though Hyuga didn't quite grasp Sakamo's and the native ninja's mentality, he expressed appropriate respect by deciding to wash away his confusion using Cloud Ninja's heads. As Hyuga's 2,000-strong pacification ninja army intensified their assaults, the Hidden Cloud's village ninja who had previously infiltrated the three fallen provinces in squad-sized units were swiftly eliminated. A Hidden Cloud's village battalion stationed in the central provinces of the Land of Lightning was quickly pulled into the battle. Yet, heeding Dodai's repeated pre-battle warnings and seeing how overwhelming Hyuga's forces looked, Hidden Cloud's village's senior Jonin adopted a cautious defensive stance. Even after Hyuga's returned to the region and captured half a province, the Hidden Cloud's village Jonin did not rush into counterattacks. Instead, they gathered together to construct defensive fortifications and sent an urgent report to the nearby headquarters requesting tactical guidance. Whether to launch an offensive or hold the defensive line. That decision now rested with Dodai. This tactically rigid wartime communication system gave Hyuga an opportunity to exploit the situation, especially since the Hidden Cloud's village ninja held a clear disadvantage in reconnaissance. Utilizing powerful ninjutsu like the Shadow Clone Jutsu, Hidden Leaf Village's pacification ninja army skillfully amplified their presence. Originally numbering just over 2,000 soldiers, they used ninja techniques to disguise themselves as a force of 4,000. By day, they boldly brought in shadow clone decoys from the rear to expand their camp, giving the impression of having overwhelming numbers. But at night, these shadow clones or real ninja assigned to deceive the enemy silently slipped out and disappeared from the camp. The next morning, they'd reappear in large numbers on the front lines, continuing the deception. This tactic not only allowed Hidden Leaf Village's forces to seize the initiative on the battlefield but also kept the enemy constantly guessing about their true strength. This strategic deception technique originated from the historically famous campfire reduction method. A trick Hyuga knew well from his past life, which he now cleverly reversed and innovatively applied. The Hidden Cloud's village battalion hastily assembled to block Hyuga's pacification ninja army reacted immediately by urgently calling for assistance from two other battalions, urging them to hurry forward for reinforcement. After all, Hidden Leaf Village's military camp grew larger every day. If you simply counted the tents, it seemed as though over 4,000 Hidden Leaf Village ninja had gathered directly in front of them. Wanting no margin for error, Hidden Cloud's Village's senior Jonin called for reinforcements and urgently requested further tactical guidance from Dodai at the nearby headquarters, hoping for additional ninja forces. At least enough in number to match Hidden Leaf Village's apparent strength. Meanwhile, as two other Hidden Cloud's village battalions moved toward Hyuga's forces, Dodai got stationed at the central headquarters. Immediately deployed another battalion to the front line so that the frontline forces could maintain balance against Hidden Leaf Village's advancing pacification ninja army. At the same time, he issued strict orders forbidding any unauthorized actions by the frontline Jonin, emphasizing that unless Hidden Leaf Village launched the first attack, Hidden Cloud's village must not provoke conflict prematurely. He insisted the front line should remain in its current standoff posture, buying ample time for him and the third Raikage back in the village to discuss a proper counter-strategy. While the nearby headquarters dispatched a battalion of 1,000 ninja heading southward, Sakamo Hatake led 4,000 Hidden Leaf Village ninja forces on a massive detour from the southeastern region of the Land of Lightning, directly bypassing the eastern territories and swiftly approaching the doorstep of the capital area. The movement of a 4,000-strong Hidden Leaf Village ninja force was naturally too large to keep completely secret. When Sakamo Hatake's forces marched through the eastern provinces, the news quickly reached Dodai's ears. Upon hearing this intelligence, a wave of panic crashed over Dodai. He knew all too well. Hidden Leaf Village's 4,000-strong force already threatening the central provinces, now joined by another 4,000 on the eastern flank. This wasn't just an offensive. It was a full-scale extermination campaign. Dodai originally intended to recall the recently dispatched reinforcement battalion, but then urgent battle reports arrived from the front lines. The so-called 4,000 Hidden Leaf Village ninja forces led by Hyuga had already begun their pre-assault bombardment, continuously launching explosive kunai attacks against the defensive fortifications of Hidden Cloud's Village's three main battalions. The three frontline battalion commanders worried about insufficient forces to resist Hidden Leaf Village's assault. Therefore, they jointly sent requests to Dodai for reinforcements, hoping to obtain 2,000 additional ninja. However, Dodai now faced a dire predicament. In total, only slightly over 6,000 ninja had been sent southward from Hidden Cloud's village, with its most elite 3 battalions already deployed at the front line, and a 4th still en route. Right now, the mere 2,000 remaining under his command would still need to deal with the ferocious Hidden Leaf Village ninja commanded by Sakamo Hatake. Under these circumstances, how could he possibly dispatch any forces to support the front lines? If not for the approaching reinforcement ninja force bound for the central province's city, Dodai might even have considered ordering their immediate return to confront the current crisis. But the rapid pace of changing events had left no room for Dodai to maneuver or respond effectively. Especially after Sakamo Hatake's ninja forces entered the territory surrounding the daimyo's court, everything had already been decided. On the 10th of June, during the 39th year of Hidden Leaf Village's reign, Sakamo Hatake led his Hidden Leaf Village ninja forces on a rapid 1,000-mile march and unexpectedly surrounded the Hidden Clouds Village ninja force headquarters located near the capital region of the Land of Lightning. At the same time, he assigned 400 elite ninja to take firm control of the 4 gates of the daimyo's castle in the Land of Lightning, undoubtedly placing the country's daimyo himself under his control. Chakra, energy network within the body amplified, Sakamo Hatake's voice thundered across the Hidden Clouds Village camp, resonating with undeniable authority. His final ultimatum loomed over the Hidden Clouds Village ninja like a blade poised above their necks. Choose. Fight or surrender. There will be no second warning. Sakamo hadn't launched an immediate assault. The long-distance march had drained his forces to the point of total exhaustion. Now wasn't the best time to fight. Therefore, Sakamo decided to allow some time for negotiations, giving the Hidden Clouds Village ninja a chance to consider their options while allowing the Hidden Leaf Village ninja to rest briefly and recover strength. Chapter 151. Bound and surrendered. At the very moment Sakamo Hatake entered the eastern provinces of the Land of Lightning, Hyuga, who had immediately learned about this. First ordered all the Hidden Leaf Village ninja animals secretly embedded within Hidden Clouds Village as camp to withdraw immediately. Then he led his forces into a frontal assault against 3 Hidden Clouds Village battalions positioned directly ahead. Although numerically, Sashu's forces were nearly 2,000 fewer than the enemy, thanks to the earlier deception tactic of inflating camp size, the Hidden Clouds Village side failed to detect the ruse and was now thrown into tense preparation, bracing for what they believed would be a thunderous counterattack from Hidden Leaf Village. Once more, Sashu deployed elite Jonin squads as the vanguard, personally leading over half his Jonin into direct assaults. Shielded by the main force, these rapid, small-scale attacks surged wave after wave, steadily overwhelming the Hidden Clouds Village defenses under unrelenting pressure. The defending Hidden Clouds Village ninja forces found themselves under immense pressure. With the presence of the Byakugan-wielding Hyuga shinobi, all the traps and fortifications set up by Hidden Clouds Village became useless. Their defensive weaknesses were laid bare. Even worse, the Jonin strike teams led personally by Hyuga Sashu moved through Hidden Clouds Village's formation like a masterful butcher dissecting his prey. Effortlessly identifying and exploiting every weakness, no matter how large Hidden Clouds Village's numerical advantage. However, reinforcements soon arrived, boosting the morale of Hidden Clouds Village's front line. What had been an unstable line quickly stabilized. No matter how intense the bombardments of explosive tags and ninjutsu became, the Hidden Clouds Village ninja gritted their teeth and held firm. The arrival of support brought them tangible hope. Even so, the 4 Hidden Clouds Village battalion commanders. Including the reinforcement unit. Still dared not act recklessly. After all, whether it was the hail of explosive tags and kunai or the continuous onslaughts by clusters of Jonin, Hidden Clouds Village had already sustained considerable casualties. All of this only further solidified the battalion leader's resolve to remain entrenched and await reinforcements. As long as Lord Dodai gathers his forces and advances southward, this pitiful Hidden Leaf Village force of 4,000 will collapse easily. This is how the Hidden Clouds Village Jonin comforted themselves. Unfortunately for them though, the moment everyone loves. The swift and brutal crushing of overconfidence. Had arrived. On the same afternoon that Hidden Clouds Village's reinforcement battalions reached the central front lines, word arrived that the Kinki garrison base at their rear had been completely surrounded by a Hidden Leaf Village force which had executed a flanking raid. The shocking news left the senior Hidden Clouds Village Jonin at the central front reeling with disbelief. Had he not decisively chosen to suppress the information, chaos likely would have spread throughout the entire Hidden Clouds village army by now. Nevertheless, Hyuga Sashu had tactfully established a sound-amplifying sealing formula and assigned delinquent members of his forces to broadcast exaggerated reports about the dire situation behind enemy lines. Though the Hidden Clouds village Jonin desperately insisted that these were merely deceitful psychological tactics from dishonorable Hidden Leaf village ninja, once communication from the encircled Kinki headquarters ceased entirely, fear spread among ordinary Hidden Clouds village ninja. Though they dared not openly discuss it due to intimidation by their superiors, the seeds of doubt had already begun to sprout in their minds. The morale of the Hidden Clouds village forces is more disorganized than we imagined. After another round of Jonin assaults, Hyuga Sashu stood at the forefront of their position, with his Byakugan scanning Hidden Clouds village's current movements. It was reasonable that the Jonin assault teams failed to break through the Hidden Clouds village defenses. After all, Hidden Clouds village remained one of the 5 great shinobi villages and possessed basic discipline and fighting spirit. However, after continuous waves of attacks and harassment, the ninja within Hidden Clouds village's camp had already fallen into a state of panic. This resulted from several factors working together. Even if Hidden Clouds village's leading Jonins were eloquent speakers, their words were powerless before carefully fabricated facts. Compared to the desperate situation in Hidden Clouds village's nearby Ginai camp, things here weren't so bad yet. After all, facing Hyuga Sashu was a ninja force numbering 4,000 strong. Even if merely defending passively and with fully prepared fortifications, even Hyuga Sashu himself leading an assault couldn't penetrate deeply into their defensive position. Furthermore, Hyuga Sashu wasn't willing to stain his own path to glory with the blood of his subordinates, so he simply maintained low-impact, high-frequency small-scale offensives, keeping the Hidden Clouds village ninja perpetually on edge. He waited patiently for good news from Tsukumo Hatake. And preparing to pursue a retreating force when the opportunity arose. Meanwhile, Dodai, who was deep within enemy lines, was now ready to gamble everything. Yet from the perspective of the Hidden Clouds village ninja stationed at the Ginai camp, this final gamble amounted to nothing more than a last desperate struggle. Surrounding the Hidden Clouds village main camp weren't just 4,000 elite ninja from Hidden Leaf village, but also colossal summon beasts from the holy place. Looking at the enormous serpent brimming with malice, the massive toad that regarded ordinary humans as insects, and the monstrous slug whose trail corroded the land it touched. Hidden Clouds village ninja felt overwhelming helplessness. Even so, surrender would never cross the mind of the stubborn Dodai. Therefore, during the brief respite when Hidden Leaf village ninja attempted negotiations and used the time to recover their strength, Dodai gathered the remaining elite Jonins under his command to act as sharp blades, preparing to strike head-on against the Hidden Leaf village forces in a life-or-death clash. Time's up. Within Hidden Leaf village's encirclement, Orochimaru glanced at the sky while standing side by side with Tsukumo Hatake, uttering a phrase dripping with bloodlust. Then let's begin. Tsukumo Hatake slowly unsheathed the white fang Tanto, silently channeling chakra. Shoo. As a signal flare lit the sky, Tsukumo Hatake leapt forward first, launching himself directly toward the battle-ready Dodai. Tsunade immediately took over command, ordering the Hidden Leaf village ninja surrounding them from all directions to launch a simultaneous attack, while Orochimaru and Jiraiya rode their respective summoned beasts from the holy place, charging toward the Hidden Clouds village camp. Lightning style, heavy stream bullet, Dodai, equally fearless, personally led his most elite Hidden Clouds village Jonins in a countercharge aimed directly at the attacking direction of Tsukumo Hatake and Orochimaru. He even activated a ninjutsu as he advanced, rushing forward after pinpointing where Tsukumo's body flicker technique would land. It seems you're ready to die then. Tsukumo Hatake didn't hold back either. He slashed straight through Dodai's power strike and left a deep, bone-revealing gash in the latter's elbow. With this single strike, Dodai had sustained a minor injury. Nevertheless, with rage burning in his eyes, Dodai gritted his teeth and initiated another secret technique. Lightning style, Black Panther variation, black lightning shaped like a panther surged from Dodai's body, lunging toward the nearby Tsukumo Hatake. However, Tsukumo instantly dodged using body flicker. The black lightning directly struck Manda. The summoned beast brought forth by Orochimaru. ZT. For a sacred summoned beast of such colossal size, an attack of this level might not be fatal, but the sensation of being hit by lightning was enough to drive Manda into a frenzy. Then came the thrashing tail strike that sent Dodai flying. You bastard, Orochimaru. Still furious, Manda spat out angrily, every time you make me deal with these annoying enemies. So this time, the offering must be doubled. Eat as much as you want. Orochimaru didn't bother wasting words with his summoned creature. He simply pointed at the Hidden Clouds village camp ahead and said, your luck decides how much you get. Manda flicked out its tongue, spewing a vast cloud of poison mist straight toward the camp. Then, With one powerful push of its tail, its hill-sized body crushed forward like an unstoppable force. All the traps and ceiling formations laid by Hidden Cloud's village along the way crumbled before this overwhelming raw power, breaking through the entire defensive line. This was the remarkable advantage gained after enhancing both size and defense. Unless they had some extraordinary power that could deliver a one-hit kill, ordinary ninja didn't stand a snowball's chance in hell against this gargantuan summoned beast. As for Dodai, who had just been sent flying, he barely managed to stabilize himself midair when preparing to fight again. Suddenly, a chill crept up from behind him, accompanied by a voice rising from below. White Fang-style ultimate art, 1,000 years of death. Following that, a cold gleam shot upward from beneath his wounds, splitting Dodai clean in two. Coward. Before finishing his final words, Dodai had already died in bitter regret. Pass down my orders. Surrender now and live. After successfully eliminating the enemy commander, Sakamo first severed Dodai's head and held it high. Then he effortlessly cut down a brave yet foolish Hidden Cloud's village ninja charging recklessly at him. At the same time, he issued an order that shook the morale of the entire Hidden Cloud's village forces: anyone refusing to kneel and surrender within 5 minutes shall be executed. As Hidden Leaf Village Ninja continuously spread his command across the battlefield, the will to resist among Hidden Cloud's village ninjas completely collapsed. Numerically and in terms of combat strength alike, Hidden Cloud's village had no hope left for recovery. Continuing to fight now was purely out of ingrained habit from their village training. However, expecting mass surrenders would still require some mental adjustment. At least momentarily. But Manda wouldn't tolerate hesitation. Especially upon hearing about the planned surrender, Manda became even more frenzied, worried there wouldn't be enough offerings left for it. It barreled into the Hidden Cloud's village ranks without a care for enemy attacks, fully intent on feasting. Injuries be damned. Earth-style swamp of the underworld, Orochimaru very considerately used a ninjutsu to create an expansive swamp, slowing down Hidden Cloud's village's retreat and setting the stage for a favorable meal. Final minute. Just as chaos completely engulfed the Hidden Cloud's village forces, Sakamo Hatake's battle cry once again echoed across the sky. Even the daimyo quietly seated within the daimyo's court could hear this voice. We've lost. The lightning daimyo's sigh carried an unfathomable sorrow. This meant that all the effort and preparation he and the Raikage of the Land of Lightning had poured into rebuilding over the past dozen years since the end of the First Great Ninja War had now come to nothing in a single moment. Lost. We've lost. And this final ultimatum utterly crushed the fighting spirit of the Hidden Cloud's village ninja. Units of Hidden Cloud's village ninja dropped their weapons and knelt in submission, heads bowed in defeat. Kakashi Sakamo then called off the slaughter and began taking the surrendered enemy ninja into custody. Thus, the southern great camp of the Hidden Cloud's village ninja force was finally breached. Chapter 152, Merit Overshadows the Kage Screech. Hidden Leaf Village's ninja hawk soared southward across the battlefield. As it reached Hyuga's command post, its shriek pierced through the already nervous ranks of the Hidden Cloud's village ninjas. No qualified ninja, no matter how extreme, impetuous, or even headstrong their personality might appear, would ever truly lack the ability to think. Thus, upon seeing that Hidden Leaf Village's hawk had arrived so calmly and effortlessly from the north, the Hidden Cloud's village jonins. Who had already begun feeling uneasy after losing communication with their nearby headquarters. Became increasingly restless and unsettled. The middle and lower ranked chunin and geinin erupted into waves of meaningless chatter. This time, the Hidden Cloud's village jonins did not even have the heart to interfere, they simply watched in complicated silence as the hawk landed among the Hidden Leaf village forces. Could it really be that the nearby headquarters has? The Hidden Cloud's village jonins didn't even dare finish the thought. As one group feels despair, another may rejoice. In stark contrast to the Hidden Cloud's village ninjas' sinking spirits, cheers from the Hidden Leaf village side shook the heavens when the hawk landed precisely on Hyuga's outstretched arm. And when Hyuga's loudly proclaimed the victory from the nearby headquarters in the Land of Lightning, the Hidden Leaf village ninja exploded with joy. Meanwhile, the bitter truth amplified through the sound-amplifying ceiling formula only deepened the gloom among the Hidden Cloud's village ranks. Yet this time, even the veteran jonins from Hidden Cloud's village had no time to verify the facts. Their messenger ninja suddenly received a final report from the direction of the nearby headquarters. This message undeniably confirmed the grim reality: the base had been utterly destroyed. At this moment, the Hidden Cloud's village jonins felt as if they had plunged into icy water. A sensation described as falling into an ice cellar in Chinese idiom. Prepare a signal flares. At Hyuga's command, Mahiru Uchiha, perfectly attuned to his intent, immediately pulled out the red flare gun signaling a full-scale attack and pointed it toward the sky. Clang! 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 The joyous cheers of the Hidden Leaf village ninja abruptly stopped. What followed was the cold, metallic sound of blades being drawn from their sheaths. Hyuga stepped forward to the very front of his forces. Raising his left hand high, he fixed his gaze on the disarrayed Hidden Clouds village lines. 2,000 versus 4,000. We hold the edge. With a decisive downward slash of his left hand, the red signal flare shot into the sky. Victory. Leading the charge himself, Hyuga's body flickered forward first. All the Hidden Leaf Village ninja roared together, following their commander into battle. The momentum of 2,000 ninja launching a full frontal assault cannot be compared to that of a mere team of elite Jonin attackers. Worse still for the already shaken Hidden Clouds village forces, every direction they looked revealed only deadly enemies charging with fierce killing intent. Like the final straw that broke the camel's back, shattering the morale of the entire Hidden Clouds village ninja force. Fire style, dragon fire technique, wind style, great breakthrough. Just as always, the Hidden Leaf village forces initiated their standard combination ninjutsu attacks. Gouts of massive flames surged forward, amplified and intensified by wind-style techniques, roaring straight toward the Hidden Clouds village positions. The Hidden Clouds village ninja, with broken morale, could barely organize any effective defense or counterattack. Some of them, completely terrified, chose to turn and flee, further shaking the resolve of their comrades. Others, resigned to their fate and unwilling to disgrace the will of lightning, decided to fight back desperately. However, their individual resistance stood no chance against Hidden Leaf Village's overwhelming offensive tide. Boom. 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 Accompanied by continuous explosions and wails from dying Hidden Clouds village ninja, the Hidden Leaf Village shinobi met minimal effective resistance as they smoothly broke into Hidden Clouds Village's defensive line. Quickly splitting into small teams, they engaged in brutal close-range combat. Power Strike, Hyuga's naturally targeted the most valuable enemy. The Hidden Clouds Village Jonin. Especially since his strength could be fully unleashed in this chaotic melee. This unfortunate Hidden Clouds Village Jonin, panicking and confused, couldn't even block a single heavy strike. Struck directly by Shu's devastating blow, his arm shattered and he flew backward like a lifeless doll. Ding! A system message confirming the kill rang through Hyuga's mind. Without bothering to finish off the fallen opponent, he launched a simple wide sweeping strike, knocking aside nearby Hidden Clouds Village Geinin and lower-ranked Jonin, then locked onto another Hidden Clouds Village Jonin and charged forward using an ability. Jumping Slash, PFTH. Following the muffled sound of a torch pole crushing his skull, another Hidden Clouds Village Jonin fell beneath Shu's attack. Before the body even hit the ground, Shu had already selected a new target and flickered forward using body flicker. Meanwhile, Miharu Uchiha followed closely behind, equally unstoppable. Her wakizashi danced through the air without gaps, launching fierce attacks along Shu's breakthrough path. Wherever she passed, severed limbs flew everywhere, accompanied by endless cries of pain and death. Elite Jonin from the Uchiha and Hyuga clans followed the two leaders' advance, tearing through the panicked Hidden Clouds Village ninja force. Together, they carved a massive breach within Hidden Clouds Village's front line. Then came the surging Hidden Leaf Village ninja forces, pouring in like floodwaters. Facing a disoriented enemy with slain commanders and broken formations, despite being outnumbered, Hidden Leaf Village's strict discipline and efficient teamwork gave them a huge advantage. Especially when dealing with isolated Hidden Clouds Village ninja, Hidden Leaf Village squads leveraged local superiority. Overwhelming one foe after another before cutting them down without mercy. Although a message from Tsukumo Hatake and Ninja Hawk had suggested capturing surviving Hidden Clouds Village ninja as bargaining chips for future negotiations with the Third Reich Hage, but it was only a suggestion anyway. Shu's choice remained clear: slaughter first and thoroughly crush Hidden Clouds Village's will to resist. More importantly, for Shu, each enemy eliminated wasn't just battlefield honor. It directly translated into experience points and coins for equipment upgrades, fueling his own growth. Of course, he wouldn't stop so easily. Hidden Clouds Village was now experiencing what a crumbling army truly meant. No way to stop the avalanche once it began. Breaking through the cloud-hidden front line torn apart by Shu, 2,000 Hidden Leaf Village ninja surged forward and utterly shattered Hidden Clouds Village's defensive formation, pushing deeper into enemy territory. The most devastating defeat in Hidden Clouds Village's history had begun. Although many surviving Hidden Clouds Village ninja resisted with the resolve to take as many enemies down with them as possible, their individual efforts proved powerless against the overwhelming tide of fate. Especially since the Hidden Leaf Village forces were far more organized compared to Hidden Clouds Village's scattered, undisciplined warriors, those brave souls who chose resistance failed to ignite any effective counterattack. Instead, one after another, they fell victim to relentless barrages of ninjutsu and thrown ninja tools from all directions. Their comrades' tragic deaths fueled further fear among the surviving Hidden Clouds Village ninja. Think about it. These very warriors who now fought so desperately had once been considered elite members of the Hidden Clouds Village ninja force, hailed regularly as paragons of valor and martial prowess. They often boasted about invading the land of fire and flattening Hidden Leaf Village. Yet right before their eyes, those same mighty heroes could do nothing but cry out in despair like helpless chicks cornered by weasels, collapsing one by one beneath the endless waves of attacks raining upon them. How else could such a sight fail to instill dread? Even the few level-headed Hidden Clouds Village ninja who realized that the enemy numbers weren't the originally assumed 4,000 found themselves unable to change anything. Even if they shouted until hoarse trying to reveal the truth, neither those seeking death nor the cowards fleeing like vermin from Hidden Clouds Village gave them any heed. After all, when people hear wolf too many times without seeing one, they naturally become immune to such alarmist claims. Just like no snowflake claims responsibility in an avalanche, Hidden Clouds Village's defeat was now inevitable unless the third Raikage himself descended from the heavens to turn the tide. Tsushu cut his way through the chaos of battle, though he himself couldn't remember how many he'd killed anymore. The constant chime of system alerts inside his mind wouldn't stop, so he simply filtered them out entirely. After casually killing a Hidden Clouds Village Chunin and body flickering away from the crowd, Tsushu suddenly found himself in wide open space. Before him now stood no enemy facing his direction. As far as his eyes could see, only backs turned in panicked retreat. Hidden Clouds Village soldiers in full rout. Ha! Hyuga exhaled deeply, wiping blood-streaked face to clear his head slightly from the slaughter-induced frenzy. Moments later, Mahiru Uchiha arrived beside him, having just dispersed a small group of pursuing Hidden Clouds Village ninja with her unit before performing a body flicker to reappear next to him. Here, take some. Without a word, she handed Mahiru-chan a bottle of military rations pill from his ninja tool pouch. Okay. Though somewhat pale from chakra exhaustion, Mahiru still managed a sweet smile as she gratefully accepted the pill bottle, popped off the lid effortlessly, and poured its contents directly into her mouth. Lord Tsushu. Takahiro Uchiha, known for his blunt manner, swiftly body flickered behind Hyuga Tsushu and knelt on one knee with his head lowered. Hidden Clouds Village has been completely defeated across the front lines. Please issue your orders. Since that's the case. Hyuga Tsushu hesitated for a moment and did not rush to make a decision. The implication of Takahiro Uchiha's words was clear. It was time to start thinking about calling for surrender. After all, ninja are treasures in their own right. Even prisoners held captive were worth far more than corpses fit only for dissection. Those who cease resistance and surrender within 5 minutes will be spared death. Hyuga Tsushu said slowly. Takahiro Uchiha did not hastily acknowledge but continued kneeling with his head bowed, listening intently to his commander's instructions. Those captured after fleeing will be subject to decimation. 1 out of every 50 captives among the defeated will be executed. All prisoners who sustained battle wounds shall be executed without exception. Hyuga Tsushu calmly listed the conditions for surrender, that's all. Go forth and deliver this message to them. Yes, sir. Takahiro Uchiha immediately accepted the command and departed. Soon, calls urging surrender echoed across the battlefield as the sounds of clashing steel and dying screams gradually quieted down. Although not every Hidden Clouds Village ninja would immediately defect at a single shout, the resistance had weakened significantly. The Hidden Leaf Village ninja leading the calls to surrender also eased their attacks, reassigning some to handle the few Hidden Clouds Village ninja who had already begun to surrender. As time passed, by the 4th minute since the surrender ultimatum had been issued, the remaining Hidden Clouds Village ninjas previously grouped tightly back-to-back started surrendering in organized groups, discarding their ninja tools before approaching the Hidden Leaf Village forces. 5 minutes have passed. Meanwhile, Hyuga Tsushu wiped the blood from his face and neck, right at the deadline for surrender negotiations. Takahiro Uchiha, temporarily serving as messenger, immediately gave the order. The Hidden Leaf Village ninja previously engaged in surrounding and capturing opponents instantly changed expressions, launching final fatal attacks against the last stubbornly resisting Hidden Clouds Village forces, shattering the last remnants of spirit within the 4,000-strong detachment. At this point, Hidden Clouds Village had no chance of turning the tide. Hokage-sama. A victory report from the front lines. At the very moment Hyuga Tsushu ordered a full-scale assault, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage stationed in Hidden Leaf Village, received an urgent success bulletin personally authored by Sakamo Hatake regarding developments in the Land of Lightning. This report left the third Hokage stunned. Has this intelligence been verified? Even after flipping through and rereading it 3 or 4 times, Hiruzen Sarutobi remained incredulous. He even questioned the Anbu messenger, didn't we know Hidden Clouds Village deployed 6,000 ninjas southward? How did they suddenly lose their entire rear base camp? Also, who gave Sakamo the audacity to conduct military operations near the Lightning Daimyo's residence, even daring to surround the Daimyo's court itself? The third Hokage's sudden anger seemed somewhat inexplicable, yet only he himself truly understood the anxiety building inside. The intelligence division has contacted Joninoro Chamara for confirmation. The messenger Anbu replied meekly. As for the matter of provoking the daimyo's residence, he chose to remain silent on the issue. So it is. Although the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, briefly lost his composure, he quickly regained his calm. He was, after all, a legendary ninja who once ruled the battlefield. He took the victory report in his hands again, scanning it carefully. This truly is an extraordinary achievement. Even battles personally led by the second Hokage never achieved such a glorious victory. Yet behind this seemingly admiring remark lingered an indescribable emotion. What about the other 4,000 Hidden Clouds village ninjas stationed in the central land of lightning? The third immediately zeroed in on the blind spot. Not yet known, the messenger Anbu dared do no more than whisper. Do Root Division agents know anything? Hiruzen pressed relentlessly. The messenger Anbu dared do no more than shake his head. What an airtight fortress Hyuga has built. He really has some talent. From his subordinate's expression, Sarutobi instantly grasped where the problem lay. If Shu had merely held back the 4,000 Hidden Clouds village ninjas, that would have been manageable. But if he seized the opportunity while Hidden Clouds village's forces were still reeling from the disaster at nearby headquarters and launched an offensive to secure a decisive victory, the consequences could become far more complicated. One might even say that although the third could tolerate the growing influence of Sakamo Hatake, he absolutely could not allow Hyuga Shu, who came from such a prestigious ninja clan, to rise unchecked. Even if Sakamo emphasized reform repeatedly, everything he advocated remained within the framework of the will of fire, but when powerful clans like the Hyuga led the charge for change, they aimed to dig up Hidden Lee Village's roots and replace its soul. Immediately sent orders to any Anbu or Root Division agents at the front lines. Move toward Hyuga Shu's position at once and secure reliable intelligence within the hour. The messenger Anbu stamped his foot respectfully, then vanished with a body flicker technique. Chapter 153, The discussion of reducing the clans. The report from Hyuga Shu has arrived. About an hour after the Hokage's messenger Anbu unit was sent to Hyuga Shu's intelligence division to investigate, Denzo. Who had recently returned secretly from the rain front, covered in travel dust. Entered the Hokage office in secret. His first words instantly transformed Hiruzen Sarutobi's expression completely. 4,000 Hidden Clouds village ninja force troops have been defeated, with over 1,000 killed and another 1,000 captured. The situation is now settled. What? This left the old monkey even more unwilling to believe his ears. Although he had expected that news of the destruction of Hidden Clouds village's nearby headquarters would definitely affect the morale of their frontline forces and significantly weaken their fighting spirit, he absolutely hadn't foreseen such an overwhelming victory so soon. It completely shattered his understanding of ninja warfare. When had ninjas started fighting like clueless samurai armies? Launching positional battles and all-out wars? Wasn't ninja warfare supposed to rely on speed and stealth, eliminating enemies through squad-based operations? How had Lightning Country's military direction turned into this head-on collision gambling style? Thinking about how these developments contradicted everything he'd accumulated over decades of experience made Hiruzen feel a migraine coming on. Being forced to keep learning and adapting to new things dreamed up by younger generations really was too much for him at his age. Instead of chasing useless details, you'd better focus on figuring out how to handle what comes next. Seeing the old monkey's expression, Denzo immediately understood what he was thinking and bluntly pointed out, "We cannot continue the war any further. If Hidden Clouds Village actually gets wiped out, it will become a massive problem." Hidden Clouds Village got exactly what they deserved. And brought it upon themselves. Though his thoughts were exposed, Hiruzen still refused to admit it verbally. Besides, Sakamo leads the frontline forces. You know he doesn't easily compromise. Humphrey. Denzo snorted with clear contempt. If the old monkey hadn't added that last sentence, maybe he could have hidden his intentions better. But since he'd voluntarily mentioned Sakamo Hatake, it only proved he wasn't being honest with himself. Understanding clearly now, Denzo gave up arguing and continued on his own terms. After this campaign, Sakamo's position has become unshakable. I'll need to adjust my original plan accordingly. Yes. Ever since the clans started causing trouble, Sakamo's growing power has been difficult to counterbalance. Hiruzen sighed deeply, taking out his pipe and puffing away thoughtfully. As the saying goes, when success outshines reward, problems follow. Now promoted to Jonin unit leader, and having achieved such a brilliant victory against Hidden Clouds Village, Sakamo Hatake had become Hidden Lee Village's most dazzling symbol. Whether publicly or privately considered, Hiruzen simply cooled not even temporarily. Set him aside. Although Sakamo Hatake, a man who could be manipulated through moral means, could be assigned extremely important yet nearly impossible tasks deliberately sabotaged to create the impression of failure, and then public opinion could be mobilized to emphasize how much damage his failure brought to Hidden Lee Village. This would pave the way for discrediting him and quietly placing him under protective custody. Relegated to an organization like the Anbu where he could do no harm. In short, it was a classic three-step strategy: lure in, cut down, and bring to heel. After all, no Kage of any intelligent hidden village would ever allow someone with the prestige of White Fang to roam freely beyond the ruling elite. They'd either absorb him into the inner circle or keep him as a weapon ready to strike. But this entire chain of half-baked plans fell apart completely due to Tsukumo Hatake's recent major victory on the border of the Land of Lightning. Nothing could rival the glow of an externally won military triumph. Furthermore, Tsukumo Hatake's reputation would inevitably skyrocket upon news of this great success, making him impervious to manipulation by mere so-called S-rank missions anymore. More importantly, with rising status and popularity, Tsukumo had gradually gathered around him a group of ambitious individuals whom Hidden Leaf Village's F4 viewed as schemers. Each one a troublemaker not easily controlled, generally hoping that Tsukumo might rise even further, thus pulling them upward alongside him. Therefore, if those underhanded small tactics continued, there was a high likelihood these men would see through the schemes, leading to considerable embarrassment later. Sigh. The more Saratobe Hiruzen thought, the more headache he got, even causing the pipe between his lips to accumulate carbon deposits from excessive and hurried puffing. Fire style, chakra seeped out involuntarily, a manifestation of emotional unrest. Denzo saw everything but kept it to himself, maintaining a calm exterior while silently waiting for the old monkey's response. Tsukumo is the pillar of the village, and recently achieved such a glorious victory. After a long pause, Saratobe Hiruzen finally spoke slowly, yet left his sentence unfinished. What about that kid from the Hyuga house then? Denzo timely reminded him. He is linked with those restless elements among the ninja clans. Hiruzen expressed hesitation. Moreover, Hyugashu's current position resulted from the compromise reached during the ninja clan summit, symbolizing reconciliation between the Hokage faction and a coalition of ninja clans. Acting recklessly against him could easily trigger massive backlash from the clans. If Tsukumo Hatake's faction merged entirely with the clans, the Hokage faction would truly find itself in hot water. Just stick to the issue and not the person himself. Once again, Denzo's sinister ideas started bubbling up inside him. Besides, with Hidden Cloud's village's defeat, the original defensive responsibilities of the Northern Border Defense Force are no longer critical now. Perhaps we should consider reinforcing the Eastern Coastal Defense Garrison instead? Isn't the Eastern Coast already? Instinctively, Saratobe Hiruzen responded halfway before suddenly freezing. Exactly right. Both the Northern Border Defense Force and the Eastern Coastal Defense Camp were commanded by the Hyuga clan. The former led by branch house head Hyugashu, while the latter directly controlled by the two sons of the main house leader, Hayashi and Hizashi. And perhaps there was room for a little maneuvering within that structure. What's your thinking? Tell me about it. Third Hokage Hiruzen Saratobe happily lit a fresh pipe filled with tobacco leaves, then motioned for Denzo to reveal his plan. Borrowing troops from the Northern Front and financial transfers. Denzo slowly revealed his strategy. Go on. Hiruzen's eyebrows lifted as his interest was immediately piqued. Even if Hidden Cloud's village survives this conflict, it will definitely suffer severe losses. It won't be a threat for several decades. Denzo stated his assessment. Provided we stop Tsukumo from advancing further into Raimai Canyon. The old monkey added as a supplement. If that's the case, there's no need to maintain such a large ninja force on the Northern Border Defense Force. Denzo ignored his old friend's remark and pressed on with his explanation. Our eastern coastal regions now face mist, a force that came out of the Great Ninja World War completely unscathed. Those water-loving folks have constantly eyed our fertile continent, creating enormous pressure on the coastal defense camp. Continue. Hiruzen happily packed another bowl of tobacco and took a puff. Although according to previous agreements reached at the Ninja Clan Summit, in principle Hidden Leaf Village doesn't interfere with personnel establishment, operational structure, or troop deployments of the Northern Border Defense Force. With the Eastern Front in crisis, and both external headquarters belonging to the same village, shouldn't the Northern Front headquarters, which faces relatively less defense pressure, provide support to the coastal defense camp? You mean borrowing rather than transferring? Hiruzen picked up on Denzo's meaning immediately. Precisely. Denzo nodded. Not only should we borrow troops currently stationed on the Northern Front, but also recall those originally under Northern Front Command that have already been dispatched to support the Rain Country Frontline Army. Of course, this would only be temporary. Theoretically speaking, these ninja forces still fall under the command structure of the Northern Front headquarters. This would also quietly undermine the Northern Border Defense Force's strength. After all, once a unit is reassigned, even the strongest past ties won't last forever. Loyalties tend to shift over time, especially considering Hyugashu's recent appointment. How much authority and trust does he actually command within the ninja force? What else? Hiruzen pressed further. Tell me about the transfer payments issue. The Northern Front headquarters has directly taken over the mission quotas of the Northern Border Buffer State, and Hidden Leaf Village hasn't received revenue from them in quite some time. Denzo subtly referenced the Northern Front Jonan's previously covert collusion with Hidden Cloud's village, a remark that clearly made the old monkey uncomfortable, especially since one of the main culprits was Oba Saratobi, a young clansman he had personally favored. With peace settling along the border, mission revenue is bound to surge, Denzo pointed out an obvious fact. And again, Hidden Leaf Village will most likely never see this money. Therefore, why not redirect the mission revenues originally allocated to the village directly to the coastal defense camp, while deducting eastern expenses from the village budget? This way, everyone benefits. Hiruzen inhaled sharply through his teeth. Do you think they'll agree? You're going to try whether you agree or not. Not everything is guaranteed to succeed. Denzo let out a cold snort, clearly displeased. He was just throwing out a suggestion. Did that old fool really think he was some kind of wish-fulfilling oracle? We've known each other for many years now, and as you know, I've always trusted you completely. Like hell, Denzo inwardly scoffed, but still managed to force a faint smile onto his face. They were both mature adults who had known each other far too long. They knew each other better than anyone else ever could. There was absolutely no need to resort to these emotional tactics filled with insincere niceties. However, putting on a performance when necessary was an essential skill for any leader. Therefore, Denzo dutifully offered appropriate displays of agreement. After a moment's contemplation, Third Hokage Hiruzen Saratobi lifted his head to directly face Denzo and asked, if this task were entrusted to you, how confident would you be? 30%. Denzo dryly offered what was clearly a very conservative estimate. In that case, why don't we give it a try? Third Hokage Saratobi didn't take offense and promptly made the decision. Whether it succeeded or failed didn't matter much to him anyway. As long as it could further insert yet another thorn between the already deeply estranged Hyuga clan's main house and branch house, he would consider himself satisfied. In that case, I will depart for the Lightning Daimyo's court tomorrow. Denzo nodded his head before preparing to leave. Remember, your official purpose this time is to pay respects to Lord Lightning Daimyo. Don't go being disrespectful. Third Hokage Saratobi reminded him immediately. I understand. Denzo replied gruffly, and most importantly, gaining control over those southern military jurisdictions in the Land of Lightning, right? He'd already offended the Fire Daimyo's courtiers from the Land of Fire. Now there was definitely no reason to provoke yet another major nation's daimyo. Besides, under current circumstances, having Hidden Leaf Village as Hokage's second-in-command visit the Lightning Daimyo's court actually helped ease the latter's concerns, preventing unnecessary suspicions about Hidden Leaf Village ninjas storming the palace to stage a regime change. As for war reparations, however, that was a separate and much grimmer issue altogether. After all, Hidden Leaf Village shinobi were still human beings, and humans naturally desired power and wealth. With Hidden Leaf Village's forces already at their doorstep, if the Lightning Daimyo still refused to surrender after all this, there'd be no excuse left. To put it bluntly, the Lightning Daimyo was basically paying for peace with his own gold. Hidden Leaf Village was practically broke by now, unable to reward its battle-hardened shinobi according to past standards. For the sake of the Lightning Country's survival and Hidden Leaf Village's dignity, the Lightning Daimyo would simply have to bear this slight inconvenience. As for the inevitable criticism, Denzo had already decided to let Sakamo Hatake and Hyuga shoulder that burden. Withdraw the forces under my command and set up new defenses? Following Hidden Cloud's village ninja forces' complete annihilation, Hyuga received a second secret message from Sakamo Hatake. The contents within also caused Hyuga to furrow his brows. It does seem somewhat suspicious, and Mahiru Uchiha also glanced at the letter, nodding in agreement with obvious confusion. From what I remember, Sakamo Hatake doesn't seem like someone who'd fight for credit. It shouldn't be his own opinion. With a casual twist of his hand, Hyuga used his chakra to crush the letter in his palm into fine dust. Mahiru Uchiha gave a gentle puff and sent the paper fragments scattering into the air. That? Mahiru Uchiha looked puzzled. If it's Sakamo's personal letter, then whose intention could possibly be reflected in it if not his? Could it be that sneaky old monkey back in Hidden Leaf Village pulled some strings from afar? Mind if I use the Uchiha clan's channels to look into this? Hyuga asked. I can use my ninja cat to get in touch with father, Mahiru replied without hesitation, though she couldn't promise results. But exactly what are you trying to find out? Check whether any of the village's top leaders have suddenly left recently. And since you're with the policing department, investigating something like this should be fairly convenient, right? No problem at all. Now that it was just something like this, Mahiru Uchiha immediately patted her chest confidently. Don't worry. Those useless pencil pushers in Hokage Tower have been under our watchful eyes all along. Just like how they sent Anbu to monitor our clan grounds. There's no secret about what they're up to either. Oh, and also check Rain Country. Isn't Denzo, that maggot, stationed there now? Might as well look into his movements too. Hyuga's Shu casually added. Easy peasy. Miharu Uchiha thought it was just an extra favor on the way, so she readily agreed. Chapter 154, Hyenas Fighting Over Food. Before Tsukumo Hatake arrived alone at the palace of the daimyo of the Land of Lightning, the naturally dignified daimyo had already gone a full day and night without food or sleep. Although his status and the established order of the ninja world within the Land of Lightning and its hidden cloud village gave him little reason to fear for his personal safety. Supported as he was by hundreds of guardian ninjas. A deep sense of inner unease broke free from the constraints of refined upbringing and noble composure, turning hysterical. Upon receiving news of the total annihilation of Hidden Cloud's village's ninja force headquarters, the daimyo learned that Hidden Leaf village's forces were now surrounding the city like tigers lying in wait. His emotions became increasingly volatile. He first beat to death dozens of eunuch attendants whose very breathing had disturbed him. Then he berated the courtiers supporting open warfare. Finally, even the noblewoman inside the inner palace suffered collateral damage, like fish caught in a burning pond. The only group left untouched were those guardians originally treated as disposable tools for dirty work. The very same ninjas the daimyo now realized were his last useful asset in this crisis. The courtiers fully understood that these highly abnormal actions stemmed from the daimyo's deep anxiety about the current situation. However, these physically weak elites who spent their days reciting poetry and admiring plum blossoms could offer no solutions whatsoever. They could only silently endure their ruler's wrath while secretly praying to survive this catastrophe. As for noble bloodlines, leadership qualities, and aristocratic dignity, all such meaningless concepts vanished under the intimidating pressure of 4,000 Hidden Leaf village ninja forces. As long as they could stay alive, everything else could be discussed later. Yet the panic within the daimyo's court wasn't limited to just the nobles. The city's residents who once prided themselves on being superior subjects of the daimyo also faced great misfortune. The soaring prices immediately following the siege brought them unbearable hardship. When Hidden Cloud's village utterly collapsed and Hidden Leaf village's forces approached the gates, the proud samurai who previously acted high and mighty fled instantly upon hearing wind of danger. With external pressures rising and internal security collapsing, the city quickly became a paradise for criminals overnight. As evidenced by the frequent smoke columns rising from sudden fires breaking out across the city, exposing its chaotic state. In response to all this, the nobility showed neither concern nor desire to restore calm. Instead, each of them worked desperately to gather uncertainly loyal samurai or ronin ninjas, hoping to increase their own slim chances of safety. Thus, under such circumstances, Tsukumo Hatake encountered absolutely no obstruction when arriving alone at the city gate. When he revealed his identity beneath the walls, trembling noble officials hurriedly appeared atop the battlements, quickly threw open the gates, and rushed down personally with bows and flattery to welcome Tsukumo Hatake. Sure, the noble officials might have lacked real ability. But they sure knew how to survive in a crisis, especially one this dire. Despite their usual air of superiority, these officials knew exactly when to switch sides. When survival was on the line. After all, wasn't it just another day of bowing, flattery, and shameless groveling? Things they had perfected long ago. However, Tsukumo Hatake felt slightly out of place. So when the noble official nodded and bowed repeatedly, inviting him into the city, Tsukumo awkwardly raised his hands to stop such excessive courtesy, gently saying that he had come in the name of peace and urging the daimyo, courtiers, and all officials not to be overly formal. Yet despite these words, the noble official welcoming him at the city gate didn't take them seriously. If anything, his already flexible posture became even more subservient, and the flattery on his face was obvious. I deeply regret allowing the people within the city to become frightened. Although he had already known before entering the city that the daimyo's court had become chaotic, when Tsukumo saw the smoke rising from fires spreading everywhere in broad daylight, he couldn't help but sigh. This was the first time he had witnessed firsthand a complete collapse of morale from top to bottom within a national capital. After all, throughout his ninja career, this was the first time he visited another country's ruling court as commander of the ninja forces. Unruly mobs within the city have begun causing chaos. We ordinary folk find them difficult to control. It's truly embarrassing for Lord Tsukumo to witness this. The noble official immediately flashed a smile while bowing apologetically. If needed, I can allow the ninja forces outside the city to enter and help maintain order. How does that sound? Tsukumo immediately suggested. The noble official's hurried steps paused briefly, he nearly stumbled over from fright. If it causes any inconvenience, forget about it then. Tsukumo also showed understanding. Still, as a member of the ruling aristocracy,